For your viewing pleasure, here is every single devlog for Gelli World, and once I finish the devlog, I'm going to say some behind the scenes stuff and just tell you some little extra bits about that devlog.
I have always had an obsession with farming games. From Stardew Valley to Super Pokepets Ranch, I love them all. Throughout my game dev journey, I've tried really hard to make farming games in the past, and they've always just kind of ended up being meh. So today we're going to take a look at a brand new farming game that I'm working on, and we're also going to be adding fusion into my farming game. I started by creating the very basics of the game. I made a tile set and a player controller, as well as a little jelly that can follow you around. One of the main mechanics in this game is being able to pick up jellies and throw them. Of course, the next step was to make the game more presentable so I can show it to people on Discord. After that, I worked on the more boring stuff like inventory and also save data. At this point, there was a day and night cycle as well as an inventory and being able to pick up crops. So this is the basic gameplay that I've come up with so far. On the top left hand corner of the screen, you have the current time of the day. On the top right hand corner of the screen, you have the amount of money that you currently have. On the bottom of the screen, you can see that there's an inventory, and it also tells you what item you're holding. If you have items like seeds, for example, you can actually choose to plant them and they will grow throughout the day. They all have their own specific growing times as well as growth stages. And you can see here that I have my partner jelly. I'll show you what the partner jelly does in a second. Right here, this little turnip actually is the bed. I didn't have a sprite drawn for the bed, so I just made it this little turnip, and that's actually where you can choose to sleep at night. So the basic gameplay of this game consists of you farming and collecting crops. Once you collect your crops, you can feed them to your jellies, and you can go out and adventure and find more jellies and add them to your farm. So here we have all of my jellies that I have. I kind of cheated and just gave myself a bunch of them. So now that it's become nighttime, I can choose to sleep over here on my bed. And now I've slept and it is morning time, and you can see that my crop actually has grown. But this crop takes a while to grow, so it's only grown one stage, so it's not fully ready yet. When you feed your jellies, the next day they will produce this thing. It is called an orb, and when you pick up the orb, it'll give you some money. So you can see there up on the top, I now have 10 coins. Your jellies also have a certain amount of happiness, and the more you feed them, the more happy they get, and the more happy they get, the more orbs they drop. So it's really important to remember to feed your jellies every day. That carrot was fully grown, so I'm going to pick it up, and now I'm able to go over here and feed one of my hungry jellies. So there's the basic farming gameplay, but there is also gameplay of adventuring and also a mechanic for your partner jelly here. In order to find more jellies and find more crops, you're going to have to explore. So you'll be able to explore a whole entire world outside of your house and be able to discover wild jellies such as this one. If your farm has enough room and you find a normal jelly like this one out in the wild, you'll be able to pick it up, take it back home, and tame it. The way that you'll collect new seeds and items is you'll be able to find them throughout the map, but they'll also drop as loot from other jellies. The way you get loot from other jellies is my very strange and unique combat system that consists of you picking up your partner jelly and throwing it at other jellies. So you can see there that it did 3 damage. And if I throw it there, you can see I did 3 more, I defeated it, and I got some turnip seeds. So your daily routine will consist of going out, defeating new jellies, finding new crops, and then growing your crops and feeding them back to your jellies in order to get more money to upgrade your farm and just have fun. Of course, this is a farming sandbox game, so you don't have to do any of that. You can choose to do whatever you want. If you want to pick up your jelly and just throw it around all day long, you can do that, whatever you feel like. You can even take one of your jellies from your farm and just throw it up on this cliff and then just let it stay up there forever. This game has a really big focus on bonding with your jellies, and I wanted there to be able to way for you to upgrade your jellies. I also wanted a way for you to be able to change the appearance of your jellies or get new and cooler ones. But I know some of you will get a jelly and you'll name it and you'll get attached to it and you won't want to get rid of it. So instead I decided that we should make a fusion mechanic where you can take an already existing jelly that you own and fuse it with an item that you find out in the wild, and it'll create a new jelly. The jelly that it creates will have the same name, the same stats, and everything the same as your older jelly, but it'll have a new appearance, and it might even do things like drop orbs that will give you more money. The only way this system is going to be made is if we just make it. I started by creating a brand new leaf object and added it to my inventory list. Once I created the leaf, I put it in the game, ran the game, and it's broken. And it's broken twice, and it's broken a third time. After a little bit of messing around, I finally got it working. Kind of. After that, I made a game object that'll serve as a place that will put things down in order to fuse them. I chose one of the default sprites and just stretched it out. I added collisions and made a new script that we'll be able to use to place items on top of it. I opened Visual Studio and did some work on the script. Now it knows whether or not you've walked over it, and it also knows if it's currently holding an item. Next it was back to scripting to show what item it's holding. I hop back into Unity, set the sprite, and I forgot that I stretched it. So I made the placeholder sprite tiled instead of stretched, and it looks better now. Next was the moment of truth, and it broke. I messed around with my scripts for about an hour, and now I can finally place and remove items with a few bugs. Next, I created a brand new jelly that will be our first fusion. It is called the leaflet, and the fusion is a normal jelly and a leaf. I added the little guy into the game and it works perfectly. Next, I added a second spot to place things. One will be able to place items and one will be able to place jellies. I wanted a really easy way for me to make fusions, so I decided to make a scriptable object where essentially all I have to do in the game is put the item that you need to fuse to make the jelly, and then put the jelly that the fusion will create. After that, I got back to coding the ability for you to place jellies. Now all I need to do is just walk up to this area, put down the jelly. Oh no. So I sorted a few bugs, and now I can successfully put down the jelly. The last thing that I needed to do was to code the fusion actually happening. Now I can approach the fusion machine, put my jelly on the left, put an item on the right, and boom, we have a brand new fused jelly. When you fuse your partner jelly, not only does it change its appearance, but it also changes its attack value. For example, the normal jelly does 3 attack damage, but this new leaflet that I created does 5 damage. So it's important to always fuse your partner as well.
Watching that back, the biggest thing that I'm thinking about is how there was combat. At this point, jellies were like one of my favorite things that I ever made, but they weren't like the biggest thing that I ever made. That at the time was Luna Lane. But this was like sort of the thing that made jellies so much bigger for me, and at the time, I thought that you would be able to fight jellies. Obviously, if you see my games now, there's no fighting jellies, nothing of that sort. But it's really weird to see that in the first devlog of Gelli World, the jellies were actually fighting each other. Other than that, there's a lot of obvious things that I can point out, such as the editing style of my videos was a lot more like, yeah, I'm a gamer and I'm a developer. I'm gonna put this like high, fast-paced, dubsteppy electronic music of bam, bam, bam. And I don't really do that now. My stuff is now a lot more relaxing and a lot more about my personality and not just, hello, welcome to Gelli World.
Foraging and exploration are a major part of many farming games. Last devlog, I started work on my brand new slime farming game. The game so far is great, but there's no reason to go out and explore. So today we're gonna make a brand new foraging system that's gonna make you wanna explore each and every day. The last video I showed off a weird combat system, which was the way you get seeds in the game. Since uploading the video, I've had a lot of comments about how the combat system looks a little bit clunky and it doesn't really fit with the overall theme of the game. So I pulled out my notebook and brainstormed different ways for you to get seeds. I eventually came up with an awesome idea that there would be a foraging system where each day you will find new items out in the wilderness and you can go forage for them and take them back to your farm. I started by making the partner jelly able to be fed, and instead of producing money the next day, it produces money on the spot. I jumped over to Unity and the system is working perfectly. In addition to allowing your partner jelly to be fed, I also removed all of the combat from the game. This new system will allow you to be able to explore and get whatever seeds you want without having to rely on whatever fusion your jelly is and how much damage it can do. After that, I decided I wanted to work on the foraging. So I opened up a sprite and I started drawing a sprout that you can harvest to find seeds. Back in Unity, I made a new game object for the sprout. With these wild items, they have a new mechanic, so I made a new script for it. The basic idea for the sprout is that every single day you can find them out in the wild, and when you pull them, they can drop random items, basically things like seeds or even leaves. I hop back into Unity to test it, and it's broken. Time to get back to the drawing board. I went back into Unity pretty confident it would work, and it worked, but it didn't with 2 of them. A little bit of debugging later, and now the system completely works. It even allows having multiple different random drops, so I can get leaves or I can get seeds. I talked about it in my first devlog, but in the future I want to add crafting to the game, and I wanted the crafting to be resource based. So one of the first resources that you'll be able to collect is wood. And I didn't want you to walk around with the axe chopping down trees. It didn't really seem to fit the whole foraging aspect of the game. So I came up with an approach where you pick up logs and you throw them on the ground and they break and they smash into sticks, and you can pick up those sticks and use them for crafting. I finished up the drawing of the log and headed back over to Unity. Once back into Unity, I made an object for the log item. I had to create a new script for this item because it's completely different to the sprouts we just made. Similar to the sprouts, the log will have a chance to spawn every day, and differently to the sprouts, you can actually pick the log up, so I had to incorporate it into my already made grabbing system. Instead of going straight to picking it up, I made a quick button press to test to see if the item explosion works. And it looks awesome. Next came the hard part, incorporating it into the grabbing system. Here goes the first attempt at grabbing, and nothing happened. Back to coding. It's still broken. Should work this time. Nope. It's been like 2 hours. It should work now. Okay. Oh, finally. This is a huge win for me, being able to carry the log around, but we still can't throw it. Now that the log is fully throwable, all we have to do is hook it up to the item explosion. Now when you throw the log, it explodes into seeds, but obviously we don't want it to be exploding into seeds, so we're going to have to make a new wood item. I started work on the sprite for the wood resource. I didn't really know what I wanted it to look like. I already had a log in the game, and it would be weird if you could pick up the log and then the log would drop smaller logs. I also didn't want to make it wooden planks, and I also didn't want to make it chunks of wood, so I decided to go for a stick with a leaf on it. Next, I hopped back into Unity and made a new item for the wood resource. After that, I set the log to drop the wood when it's broken. I hop back in the game to test it out, and it works perfectly. We now have the start to an awesome foraging system and the start to an awesome new resource system for crafting. Even though the game is really early in development, I think it's a really good time to start making the game look a little bit prettier. I started by finding a nice pixel font online and I added it into the game. Now the placeholder UI looks a little less ugly. The next order of business was to create a nice parallax effect for the background. So I opened up Visual Studio and got to working on the code. Once back into Unity, I tested it out and it's kind of working. The next order of business was creating different movement speeds for each of the layers of the background. Now they're moving at different speeds, but I think it could look a little bit nicer. Now I think I have it perfect and I'm loving the way it looks. Now we can work on adding some animations for the jellies. Now I'm just going to say this before we even get into the process of me making this animation. I started to make these animations and then I wasn't feeling it and it was taking me a while, and then I decided to go a completely different direction for how I did the animations, but we're still going to walk through the process of what I was trying to do to make these animations. So I got to work making some really squishy and cute animations for the jelly. I hopped into the game to test out the idle animation and I think it's really cute. Next I had to go into my code to determine when the jellies needed to do these animations, and that caused a lot of errors. Now that the errors are fixed, the jelly is jumping. Oh god, that looks terrible. I got back to the animator to try to make this walk look a little bit better. Now it doesn't look as insane, but it's still a little bit slow and I don't really like it that much. So I went back to trying to make the animation look better again. I went back in game and it still didn't look quite right. I tried again and this attempt looks a lot better, but I was having issues with the animations kind of not playing at the right times. I hopped back into the animator and at this point I was getting a little bit frustrated with this. The problem wasn't that it was annoying or difficult to be able to do this. The problem was that I would have had to do this for every single jelly in the game. Now, obviously if I had 1 or 2 jellies, it wouldn't be that big of an issue, but having to redo all of this animator and animation stuff for each of the jellies in the game, that would have started to get really tedious and annoying. Since all of the jellies in my game are prefabs based on the original jelly that I created, I'm able to get away with having one animator for all of them and then just swapping the sprites out with animation events. If you don't understand what I'm meaning, basically instead of taking a 20 to 30 minute process to make animations for each jelly, all I have to do is click a few buttons. Since adding in this system, the animations look great and I'm loving it. I even added fun stuff like a little animation of their eyes being open when you throw them. Since it's working off of all the prefabs, it even animates for all the other jellies, so here I have a leaflet and it's animating just like the other jellies. I didn't have to make any new animations, all I had to do was just change out a few sprites and it works. So we completed everything that we set out to do today, which is awesome. The game is looking better already, and every single devlog, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a minute to add some more polish and make it look a little bit nicer. Polish isn't exactly needed, especially since the game is in such a really early state, but I had a lot of comments saying that if the game looks better, people will like looking at it more, so that is a very fair comment. I am a content creator after all, so making the game look better is a benefit to me and to you guys.
I got my handy dandy phone here because I actually wrote a couple of notes about this episode. One of the things that I tried to do in this episode was one up the previous episode because it did pretty well with views. And so I had watched other devlogs and saw that people did stuff like writing things out in a notebook or like a camera angle of your computer screen. So I tried that in this video, and I don't know, it just doesn't really fit my channel, honestly. I tried it out, I didn't really like it in the final product. Another thing I noticed that I did a lot in these older videos was the like, oh, look, I'm having a funny bug on the screen, or like, oh, look, something's funny, and then it would have like, you know, it's broken a few times before it's finally fixed. I ended up not liking those as much as my videos went on, so that's why I really don't do that anymore. I think it's kind of cliche and corny. The biggest behind the scenes takeaway I can give from this specific video is when I was talking about making the animations for the jelly. I'm keeping that in, I'm not editing that out. The animations for the jelly were really difficult to get right, and I was still kind of new to Unity and I didn't understand exactly how animations worked very well, so it actually took me a lot longer than you would think just to get a few animations in the game. This was also the first time I made it so that a character had those like white eyes whenever they were like shocked or they were thrown in this example. The reason why this devlog was even released so close to the other devlog was because I figured out how to get that animation system done, and I was like, I gotta show everyone, so I immediately went to making the video.
Crafting and building are a major part of a lot of open world games, crafting games, as well as sandbox games. It's one of those things where if I see it in the list of features for a game, I immediately want to buy that game like 50% more. In case you don't know, I recently started work on a slime farming game. You collect slimes, fuse new ones, grow crops, and forage for new items. And in this devlog, we're going to be adding crafting and building into the game. Just a reminder, I'm always doing stuff behind the scenes like improving the visuals of the game. I feel like showing the process for that isn't as entertaining, so I do it in the background, so things will be changing and visuals will be updated as these devlogs go on. I wanted to save the hard stuff for last, which will be making the crafting menu, so I decided that I'll just make the visuals for the crafting table, and it's just a square. As I've said in past devlogs, the art is definitely the hardest part for me when it comes to making a lot of things. And I know a lot of people like my art style and a lot of people don't like it. I'm really trying here to make things look good. And I had a good place to start off. I wanted to make a chair, and I've already drawn chairs for Luna Lane. So I basically stole the chair from Luna Lane and edited it slightly so that it'll fit in more with the game. So here's the final product that I came up with. I don't think it looks too bad. It fits in with the rest of the game, and the colors are alright. I think it looks pretty good. The next step was to import the sprite into Unity so we can make our first piece of furniture. But before I go any further, this furniture is going to be able to drop as an item, so we're actually going to have to make a new item for this piece of furniture. Now that that's all done, I made a game object that will serve as our chair. I didn't want to just make it a chair that you can put down. I also wanted it to be a little interactive, so I added a little platform that you can actually jump on top of the chair. And here we have the chair in all its glory. I think it's really awesome, and you can jump on top of it, which is super cool. Having a chair that just sits there is cool and all, but I wanted you to be able to place the chair wherever you want to, and I don't want you to just go around willy-nilly placing them all over in the wild and all over the place. So I want to have game objects that are placed around, which will be the different locations that you can actually put furniture down in. I put it off for as long as possible, but I finally had to jump into Visual Studio to make the code for placing down furniture. I hopped back into the game, picked up our new item, and it's a little broken. This is also a little broken. So I started work fixing these things. One of my favorite parts of game development is having a bunch of little tiny bugs all happen at the same time, and you know exactly how to fix them. So it takes you no time at all to fix them, and then everything just sort of comes together. With all that fixed, I hopped back into Unity, picked up the object, and it's working. Seeing the character run around holding a chair above their head is actually kind of funny, but I also kind of really like it. Next, we have to test if we can place the furniture, and it's not working. Of course, I had to hop back into Visual Studio and fix this issue. With that all out of the way, you're now able to place your furniture. Nope. Back to Visual Studio, and back to Unity. Now placing the chair works fine, but there's that ugly green square in the way, so it's a victory, but it's not all the way there yet. Now the chair places in front of the ugly square, so it looks a little bit better. Keep in mind this square is just for testing purposes. Now I cleaned it up and added multiple different locations, so you can now place things in a variety of different areas. To be honest, at this point I was getting very excited for all the possibilities. I've always wanted to make a system like this, and I felt like I was getting closer and closer. I was just so excited. Being able to place objects is really cool, but I wanted to also add functionality so that the player can flip the objects they put down. Here's my first test, and it didn't work. Second test, and it's working. You can now flip the different objects that you place down. I'm just gonna place this right here, turn up on the chair. Now you should be able to remove items you've put down. Okay, that's not right. I messed with a few things and now the furniture dropping is working perfectly. I don't want players to try to do this, fuse a jelly with a piece of furniture, so I'm going to actually lock it so that furniture cannot be put in the fusion area. With that all out of the way, now we need to work on crafting, and that requires creating a menu. Fun fact about me, I don't really like making menus, and I kind of suck at it as well. But doing this is just part of being a game dev, so I got to work on making the basic layout for the crafting menu. Next I hopped into Visual Studio so you're actually able to open and close the menu. And here we are, we have a menu that can open and close. Next we have to make this menu actually do something. But before we do that, I thought it would be a really good idea to make the menu look a little bit nicer. And I ended up with this horrible mess. So I kinda needed to make it look better and not worse. I'd like to apologize. I got to this point where I was just frustrated and didn't know what to do, and I came up with this design, but I didn't even record it because I was super frustrated with it. Now that I have the crafting table done, I can put my materials into the crafting table, go into the crafting table, and it's broken. Okay, now I can put my materials in and craft. And it works! I actually got the furniture. There's still a few issues. One of them being that it didn't actually use the materials to create it, but still it works. The crafting table could only support wood, and I wanted it to support a bunch of other resources, for example, leaves. So I was thinking, what could be created with leaves and also wood? And I thought, what better thing than a scarecrow? So I started drawing up a scarecrow. I couldn't really figure out a good head for this scarecrow, so I just decided to stick a gourdkin on top of it, which is a Luna Lane pumpkin, and I thought it looked pretty funny. And here's the finished scarecrow. I think it came out really good, and the next step is to put it into the game. I already had a good base because we just made this wooden chair, so I basically just copied the wooden chair and then just made changes to it. And then of course I had to make the crafting recipe for the scarecrow, and like I said earlier, it requires leaves, so let's see if this crafting system I made is working fine. But first I thought it would be a good idea to actually run through collecting the materials and bringing them back and actually crafting so you guys can see how it might look in the game. Obviously this is still a very early look. So let's actually go out and let's get some supplies. So if you haven't seen the earlier devlogs or you just need a refresher, basically you have to go out and forage for your supplies every day. So you can see that there's a spot behind this bonbon here. I'll just get rid of that. And I can dig it up, and it's actually a leaf, which is one of the materials that we need to craft the scarecrow. There's another spot right here, and this one actually gave me some wood. So wood and leaves are very basic materials. Here I have a log, you can pick it up. Once you pick it up, you can throw it, and it actually gives you a pretty high amount of wood. But I actually didn't get enough materials today, so I'm gonna have to wait until the next day in order to be able to try and find another leaf, so then we can make a scarecrow. Okay, it's the next day, and I actually got a leaf, so we can go back and make our scarecrow. I'm gonna put the resources into the crafting table here, open it up, and I'm gonna click on the scarecrow and click craft. And it worked. It didn't get rid of the leaves, which is fine. I can fix that later, but it worked. You can see I have a scarecrow here. It looks awesome. I can pop it off from the ground if I really want to and get rid of it. It looks good. I did want to make one last piece of furniture, and it actually has to serve a function, and that's a table, and I wanted the table to be able to put items on top of it. So I got to work making the table. Alright, here's the table. Currently you can just put it down. You can't actually put items on it. I mean, you could drop an item on it, but you can't actually put anything onto it. It required a little bit of annoying code, but now I have a table that you can actually put items on. It remembers how many items are in that stack, and you can remove them, so you can use them for storage, or you can use it to display an item that you really like. All in all, I think it's really awesome. In this devlog, I added the building and also the crafting to the game, and let me tell you that I had an absolute terrible time adding both of these things into the game. I had a ton of different issues that popped up. It took me
a very long time to get all of this done. At this point, I was probably working 9, 10, 11 hours a day coding. It was very not good for me. I know that the building locations specifically were coded very, very horribly, and later on in the game when I started adding more building locations, it was just so horribly optimized. Each spot that you could place furniture was running an update loop, I think 2 update loops in each of those positions, even if furniture was not there, and if you placed furniture there, it would be running another update loop. I was not very good at optimizing things. The crafting menu design in the video, I did say that I was struggling with it, so I didn't record it. I was really struggling with that. UI design is very hard, and at the time I hadn't designed much UI, and I was going for a very cool approach with it, and I wanted it to look good and function great, and it took me a very long time. It was very difficult. Very hard. It kind of really sucked.
Seasons: oregano, basil, parsley, but also spring and summer. Last devlog, I teased adding seasons into my slime farming game. And what better season to add than my favorite season of all? I've always wanted to add changing seasons into a game, so I've been really excited to add this. I even had plans for this when I was working on my old farming game called Slime Game, and that was a few years ago. I want each season to feel unique, and I want them all to come with their own crops, jellies, and different furniture items. I didn't feel like coding just yet, so I started work on a fall tile set. I really wanted to capture that bright orange autumnal feeling that lots of games have. There's just something about fall that makes everything feel so much more cozy. After I finished the ground, I began working on the trees. I stuck with the same sort of orange color for the trees, but I did get suggested that I should maybe make yellow and red trees in the future, and I think I might go back later and add that at a different date. The trees are finished and it's already looking like fall. The last thing left to do is to change these bushes. So here's the finished product. I think it looks really awesome, and the next step is to actually track what day it is in Unity. I started by adding new text on the HUD that's going to track what day it is, and then I began coding the actual days into the game. Keep in mind this is very placeholder. I'm probably going to say the days and show the time in a very more fancy and farming game-esque manner, but for now it's just going to be some words on the top of the screen. Now we're in the game and you can see that it says Monday. So if I go over here and sleep, now you can see that it's Tuesday. So the day system is essentially working. But now, we need to figure out what season it currently is. So I added another text element to the HUD, and then I got back to coding again. Now back in the game, you can see that the season is spring. Now we need to change the look of the game depending on what season it is. When it changes seasons in my game, essentially it's just going to do a tile swap on all of the tiles in the game so that everything looks different. This is a really fun but also very tedious process. It's very relaxing, but then it sort of gets very boring pretty quickly. Now I need to write the code that actually switches the season. Now season changing should be in the game, and I also added a little thing up on the top that shows what day it currently is in the season that you're in. It says 21 right now, but there's going to be 20 days in each season. So it's now night. Let's sleep and see if it works. Okay, that was my bad. I admit I completely messed up and forgot to add a tiny little thing. Okay, now when we sleep, it should change to fall. And there you go, it works, which is amazing. The first fall exclusive thing that I wanted to make was leaf particles that fall from the trees around the map. I've never really made particles like this before, so I kind of struggled a bit making these. This is my first attempt at the falling leaves, and I think I need to make them move in a direction because it doesn't really look like they're being blown in the wind. It just looks like they're kind of just dropping off the tree. So I added some velocity to them, and I also added some noise so they kind of sway through the air a little bit. And now look at them. I think it looks pretty good. I'm not exactly 100% finished with them, and I don't know if the sprites for them are exactly what I want them to be, but I think for now it's a really good start. So in the game, each season is going to come with its own seasonal resource. And this seasonal resource is going to be gathered in a bunch of different ways depending on what season it is. You'll use this seasonal resource to craft seasonal furniture items. The seasonal resource for fall is fall leaves. And I thought, what could be a better way of collecting fall leaves than by having leaf piles? Now that our leaf pile is finished, let's add it into the game. Back in Unity, I created the game object that'll serve as our leaf pile. The leaf pile is really simple. You run into it, and it explodes, and it drops items. And every single day, more leaf piles will spawn. Now that we have the leaf pile finished, it's time to make it actually work. Okay, so all I have to do is run into the leaf pile, and it drops an item. Next, I created a particle for when the leaf pile explodes. Now when I run into the leaf pile, it has a very satisfying particle effect, and it drops some items. We have the leaf pile, so I think it's a good time to make the fall resource now. I wanted this item to stand out a little bit more, so I made it a red color as opposed to the orange color that we've been using. Now, back in the game, when I run into these leaf piles, you can see that it drops these fall leaves now. Having this seasonal resource is really awesome because it locks some furniture items depending on what season you're in. And speaking of furniture items, I was thinking of what furniture item should I add that would be Halloween or fall related, and of course I'm going to add a jack-o'-lantern. This is a spot where I kind of need your guys' help. I don't exactly know what I want to add into the game yet, so if you have any ideas for fall or Halloween related furniture items that you'd like to see, please leave a comment down below and tell me what you'd want. Here's the finished jack-o'-lantern. I think the sprite came out really good, so let's add it into the game. Before we can just add it into the game, we actually have to make an item for it. Now that that's done, we can make the jack-o'-lantern. So I just used the scarecrow as a base and basically change the sprite, and that's kind of what I do for all of my furniture. Now, since this is using a brand new resource that I didn't exactly have planned when I first made the crafting system, I had to add the new fall leaf resource into the crafting system and then add the recipe into the crafting table. With that done, I can actually store the fall leaves in the crafting table, open it up, and you can see the jack-o'-lantern is there. And even though I have enough fall leaves, it says I don't have enough, so something is clearly broken. Now it's displaying properly, and I can craft the jack-o'-lantern. But when I put it down, it's a little bit floaty. I can fix that later, though. And when you pick it up, it turns into a scarecrow, but it's okay. I can fix that stuff later. With the jack-o'-lantern finished, I think it's a good time to make a seasonal crop. I like to take inspiration from the real world and add my own twist to everything I make. So the crop that I'm making is what we would call a pumpkin, but in the universe of Luna Lane, it is called a gourdkin. Now you'll probably notice later on, but this isn't the design that I actually use in the final game. I drew this, but then I ended up changing it on my own and I didn't record it. I don't know why, I think I totally forgot. But for now, you guys get to see the process of me making this early version of it. And what's a pumpkin without a jelly that loves to eat them? Right now I'm creating what is called an avialio, which is pretty much a jelly that's a turkey. Now I wanted there to be a seasonal jelly. Somebody suggested making a turkey, and I thought that that was a great idea. The way you'll get the avialio is you can actually fuse a fall leaf and a jelly, and then it'll create the avialio. With the avialio and the gourdkin finished, let's add them into the game. When I create a new jelly, I essentially just take a prefab from the original jelly, and then I'm able to change the sprites and all the animations for it. It's a pretty simple process, but it's also a little bit tedious and annoying sometimes. But now we have the avialio in the game. Now I did say earlier that the avialio is a fusion, so I made the new fusion for that. It should be as simple as picking up a jelly, carrying it over to the fusion area, placing the jelly down, putting down the fall leaf, and it's not working. Okay, I think I fixed it. Let's pick up the jelly, run him over to the fusion area, put him down, put down the fall leaf, and there we go, we have an avialio. I think it's so cute, it's very adorable. It's the first like bird jelly that I've ever had. It still moves in the same exact way the other jellies do, but I just think it's a very cute jelly. The last thing to test is a brand new gourdkin. And yes, I said earlier that I changed the sprite. I essentially added some vines or leaves growing out in front of it. It adds this more like bushy, viney feel to it. I thought it was kind of weird that it was just a pumpkin just straight sitting on the ground and getting bigger, so I wanted to add a little bit of something around it. Adding all of these fall and Halloween related items has really enhanced the gameplay a ton. I think every season in the real world, I'm going to add the new seasons into the game. So in winter, I'll be adding winter. If you're wondering about holidays, yes, they're going to exist in the game, but I'm going to be doing a devlog about adding them all later.
So I wasn't very great at coding at the time, and when I wanted to add changing seasons, I didn't know how exactly I would do it. And the way that I thought of was to just redraw the entire map, but in each different season, and then delete or spawn the object for the ground depending on what season it is. And that meant anytime I changed the ground, I would have to also change it for all of the seasons, which was very, very bad.
My farming game Gelli World is already almost 3 months into development, and I've received a few comments from you guys saying that it isn't standing out that much compared to other farming games. So today we're gonna change that. I've planned out a lot of stuff for this game, but one of the things that I didn't plan out was how you would earn a lot of your money and how you would sell items. So before this update, I had a sell box where you essentially just walk up to it and then you could just sell items to it. and I thought that was a little bit boring, and I wanted to spice it up a little. So we're changing it so that in this game you're going to have a item stand. You could place items in your stand, and customers will come up and they'll buy it. And depending on the kind of things that you do to your farm, you'll attract different customers. And also, your jellies will now produce jam as well as the gleams. And jam is one of the biggest things that you'll be selling and what the customers will be wanting from you. Now, if you aren't understanding, I know this is a lot of talking, and the best way for you to understand is to just show you. Before we start making a shop, we need one of the main items that you'll be selling in your shop. And that item is jam. Now, a lot of you have asked if jellies taste good, and I can confirm they do not taste good. They're not actually made out of jelly, but since this is sort of a spin-off and a side game, I was thinking maybe if jellies are very, very happy, they will produce jam. And maybe jam is something that everyone from around the world loves. So one of the main things that you'll be selling is this jam. And one of the cool things about jam is that each jelly has their own kind of jam. After finishing the jelly jam, I started working on all the other types of jam, which are the bonbon, the leaflet, and the avelia. Now that we have the sprites drawn, we have to make items for all the different types of jam. And boom, now we have jelly jam in the game. Next step is assigning the jam to each of the jellies so they know which jam to produce. And now when I feed this jelly, you can see that some jam pops out as well as a gleam. So the gleam is the little orb that comes out of a jelly when you feed it, and it basically is some instant money. And it gives you money based on the price of the crop that you fed the jelly. In order to have a shop, we need to have somewhere to put down our items for our customers to buy them. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the sell box that I was previously using and just delete it completely. And make a new object that'll serve as our shop stand. Next, I'll add some components and other bits and bobs to it. And for the time being, we're just going to have our shop items sit on this table. It'll be changed in the future. You'll just have to bear with that for a little bit. The next step is to actually make a script that'll allow me to place down items. When I came up with the idea for the stands, I was actually taking a shower, and a lot of the ideas that I come up with just sort of appear when I'm in the shower. Is there a certain place or a time that you guys have where ideas just come to you, or is that just me? Now I should be able to just walk up to the stand and place down an item. And I should be able to remove it. Well, okay, now you can remove items, but it's still a little buggy. Okay, now I can remove items and it finally works. This took way longer than you would think. Right now we don't have much of a shop, and that's because we don't have any customers. So now we're gonna get started on the first customer in the game, the farmer. People are one of the things artistically that I struggle with. So I did have a little bit of a hard time drawing this farmer. The animations weren't that hard because they're basically just reskins of the player. There is, however, a new animation, and it is of them thinking, because before they buy a product, they will actually think about it. So here's the farmer. I think it actually turned out pretty good, and I really like the hat. I think I did a pretty good job on the hat. You'll have to let me know what you guys think about it. Now that our first customer is finished, we gotta get this farmer into the game. Now that we have our farmer, we have to bring him to life. First, I added all the fancy bits and bobs to him, and then I started working on the script that'll basically control how he thinks. And now we have a farmer who's just kind of standing in the ground. Yup. It isn't a complete failure though. This is good because this is showing that the customer spawning is actually working, so the script actually just spawned this customer and is going to continue to spawn customers, even though they're in the ground a little bit. Next on the list was to make some awesome animations for our farmer. Now after some time passes, a customer will appear and he'll just kind of be running in place. Now our customer appears and is actually moving. This is such a large milestone because now to just see him moving and actually being a real thing, it makes me so happy. It makes me so excited. Also, he's just gonna keep walking forever. He's gonna go through the wall. He has gone through the wall. He has transcended beyond reality. All of the customers in the game will have a favorite item type that they like, and if they see that item type in your stand, they will immediately go for that over the other items. And let me just say, making this was a little bit annoying. It took a lot of time and a lot of me being mad. Here we have two stands and the customer should pick between the two, or just completely ignore both. Now the customer should see his favorite item type, which is jam, get excited, walk over to the stand, and buy it. It works, but it's just infinitely selling them, so we probably need to fix that. We're making some awesome progress. Now the farmer will come up, think about the item, purchase the item, and walk away. When the customer walks away though, I want them to actually be carrying the item on their head, kind of like the player does. I think it's a really cute touch, and I think it'll look really good. I think one of my favorite things about being a game developer is just having a vision or an idea and being able to turn that idea into a reality and have it actually be made out in front of you. The process is just super rewarding. Now the customer will walk up to the stand, buy the item, and actually walk away carrying it on their head. Next, I want to make it so that the customers can only buy a specific amount of the item instead of just buying all of them. Now the customer will walk up to the stand, think about purchasing the item, and then we'll buy some of them. And each customer type has a maximum amount of items they can buy. Next, I made it so if a customer stops at a spot that has no item, they'll think about it for a little bit and then turn around and go back home. Now that we have all of these systems in place and working, I wanted to make the customers and jellies more expressive, and I wanted to do that by adding emotes to the game. So essentially emotes will just be an icon that will pop up over the top of customers' heads or a jelly or anything in the game, and it'll display an emotion. I think you guys understand what an emote is. This is one of those things where it's like, it definitely doesn't need to be in the game, but the game is just enhanced so much more by having it in the game. Now when a customer goes to purchase an item, an emote will pop up over their head to show a little bit about what they're thinking of. Okay, now that we had a little bit more fun and we added emotes in, what we're going to do now is allow you to sell your jellies. So selling a jelly will be a little bit different, because if you leave a jelly there overnight, if it was from the wild, it will return back to the wild. But if it was from your farm, it'll return back to your farm. It'd be a little cruel to leave them just sitting there all night long, wouldn't it? Alright, I'm going to pick up this jelly, put it in the stand, and it's stuck to me. Okay, now I can place down the jelly and it actually works, but I can actually pick it up still, and it still counts as being in the spot, so that's a bug, so I definitely need to fix that still. Alright, let's fix that. And while we're at it, let's make it so the customer can actually buy the jelly. And now the customer can walk up to the jelly, purchase it. Oh no. Now you can sell your jellies to your heart's content. And don't worry, they're going to a good home. If you've seen in this footage that I've made a lot of changes since the last clip and this current clip, and that's because I just went through and did a lot of polishing stuff. I made a pop-up in the top right that appears to show when you've got new money. I changed the gravity and the friction of the player because a lot of you guys said that the movement looked a little weird, so I made that a little bit better. And I also started working on my sprinting system, which will be a really awesome thing in the future. And the game just feels so much nicer now. The shop stands were a really interesting mechanic idea that I had, and it kind of felt very left field for this type of game. But basically the idea was you would be able to get different customers that would specialize in different things depending on what you wanted to sell. So when I first started the game, I had this idea that you were able to like sufficiently do whatever you wanted. So if you wanted to sell only wood by chopping down trees and other things like that, then you'd be able to sell to like a lumberjack type people that would give you more money because you're selling just wood. I didn't ever end up expanding this system at all ever, and I just removed it in later devlogs. I also started doing those weird transition title card things, and that's not my style. I don't know why I was doing that. So I received a lot of comments about the players sleeping outside in Gelli World, and so I think today it's finally time to change that. What's up, gamers? No. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another Gelli World devlog. In this devlog, we're going to be adding player housing to the game. We're going to redo the furniture placement system, and we're also going to allow you to place furniture on the walls, as well as a bunch of other things. So let's just get into the video. Today we are finally adding a player house into Gelli World, and the first thing that we have to do is actually draw the house. Houses are an extremely daunting task, but I do have some experience drawing houses in Luna Lane. When I draw houses, the first thing I do is draw something like a door so I can scale it to my players so it fits in with the rest of the world. I wanted the house to feel nice and cozy, but not too fancy. Alright, now that we have the door, we can move towards the next step, which is getting the general shape of the house. In Luna Lane, I made the houses facing the player, but in this game, I want the houses to face the side. I think this will add a lot of dimensionality, and I think it'll look really awesome. Next comes the hard part, making a roof. Getting the shape of the roof took me way longer than I'd like to admit, but you know, once you get something, you get there. It doesn't matter how long it takes you. All that matters is that you got there. That's my inspirational quote for the day. Now that I got a general shape for the roof, I added a little chimney to the top, and I considered my early concept done. Next up was choosing colors and materials, and I wanted to go for a brick on the house originally, and as you can see, it was not looking good with the wood, so I quickly abandoned that idea. Fast forward a few hours in, and I was still working on the same thing. After hours of working and getting opinions on the house, I decided to make a blue roof for it, and I think it looks really awesome, and I got to putting the final touches on the house. And boom, here we have the final product, and I am super proud of this. I think it looks absolutely amazing, and I'm so glad that I made this. It looks really, really good. Now we just need to get it into the game. I imported the house into the game, and I think it looks pretty awesome. Next, I wanted to be fancy and add a smoke particle that comes out of the chimney. Look, the particles are behaving funny. Isn't that a funny game dev moment? Hashtag funny game dev moments. Funny game dev. Now the house looks even nicer with little puffs of smoke that come out of the chimney every once in a while. It's a nice little touch, and I really like it. With that out of the way, now we have to do big boy stuff. The big boy stuff in question is making this awesome inside tile set. Tile sets are another thing I struggle with artistically, but I started by drawing the floors and the walls. I finished the walls and floors, but I wasn't exactly happy with them. So I drew some wooden walls for the house, and let me tell you what, these things look ugly. I didn't want the inside to have a flat roof, so I worked on some sloped tiles. At that point, I was getting fed up with the background, so I decided to make this 2-color wallpaper with those signature zigzags on the bottom. Lastly, I added these little circles scattered throughout the wallpaper. And that is our tile set done. Next on the list is making an interior for the house. So I imported the tiles we just made into the game and started the basic layout for the house. In case you were wondering, yes, this player house is really small, but this is actually the basic house, and in the future you'll be able to upgrade your house and change stuff like the wallpaper and change the size of it, make it bigger. I might even add like a basement and an upper floor to the house as well. So now the interior for the house is done, but I want to add a fireplace. You're probably wondering why I chose this whimsical music, and it's because I had a lot of trouble making this fireplace, and I wanted to walk you through the entire process of me failing at making a fireplace for like 2 hours straight. I started by drawing the basic shape of the fireplace. Now that I have this shape, I wanted to draw a mantelpiece. As you can probably see already, the mantelpiece was causing me some issues. It looked a little bit wrong. Fast forward a little bit later, and it somehow looks worse. And that brings us back to here. There's a thing that I do sometimes when I'm struggling with something. I'll just completely turn off the recording because I know, oh boy, this is gonna take me a while. But let me tell you, that fireplace took me a long time to get right, but I really like the way that it turned out. Okay, let's get this bad boy into the game. We now have a fireplace in the game. I will add fire into it later. I have a lot of difficulty with fire, and I was already angry enough at the fireplace as it is, so I'll add the fire later. With that done, I want to make this place compatible with the furniture placing system. I got the furniture placement system working for the inside of the house, so now you can decorate your house any way you wish. You guys have no idea how good it feels to finally have a place to put your furniture that isn't outside. Putting things like tables and chairs outside was kind of a little bit weird, but now you can finally put it inside a house and have your own little space. Next, I wanted to make the building system show you where you're going to place down the furniture and show you if you can or can't place the furniture. So I started by making a little transparent indicator that appears over a spot when you've walked over it. And obviously they aren't deleting yet, so it just looks like a bunch of ghost chairs. Now the indicator is actually working properly. You may have already noticed this, but all the furniture in the game so far has been 1 tile wide, and I do not have a system that allows you to have longer or taller furniture yet. So I'm finally going to tackle that and make some bigger furniture. So the first big furniture that we're making is a dining room table, and it is going to be 3 tiles long. Okay, I have the table in the game, and you can see that when I place it down, it overlaps other furniture, which is exactly what we don't want it to do. So we're making progress. Now when you place down furniture and it's overlapping, it shows actually a little red indicator to show you that you're overlapping another piece of furniture. Obviously, I can still place it down, but we're getting there. Next, I made it so that when you go to sleep, your partner Gelli will actually go to sleep on the little pillow next to the fireplace, and it is so cute. I also made it so that when you enter your house and it's late, you can actually see that your partner Gelli has already tucked itself into bed. Some of you might not like your partner Gelli, which is a crazy thing to think. Why would anybody hate their partner Gelli? But if you don't like them, you can actually have them sit on their bed, and when you leave and go about your day, they won't follow you anymore. So if you don't want your partner Gelli following you, there is an option for that. The last feature that we're going to add for this devlog is wall furniture. And the first wall furniture that we're going to add is a shelf. It's basically just a table, but it's on the wall. Our shelf is done, let's get it into the game. Okay, the shelf is in, and when you place it down, it places on the ground like normal ground furniture. So we have to make it actually place on the wall. Now we have a nice shelf in the game, and you can actually put items on the shelf just like the table. I think it's really awesome. I'm excited to have more wall furniture, and I'm just excited for it all.
I came up with the idea for your partner Gelli not being able to follow you, and that was like so horrible to code. The way I had coded the Gelli and the following, all of that. Just making it not follow you was so much harder than making it actually follow you. This also was the first time the player would ever change scenes, and I had a lot of issues with things being set properly, like the proper partner Gelli and also your inventory and the time of day and things like that. I had a lot of problems with that because I was not very good at coding. I'm also still doing that stupid editing thing where I like put the title of what I'm about to do next with like the epic music or whatever. When am I gonna stop doing that? I need to stop. It cannot go on for any more episodes.
Snowman Gelli. Snowman Gelli. What up, gamers, redditors, and children? My intro is gonna get exceedingly more chaotic as the videos go on. So welcome back to another Gelli World Devlog. If you missed any of the Gelli World Devlogs, there's a card somewhere. I think it's actually this way? Is it over here? It might be over there. Anyways, there's a playlist for all of the devlogs if you want to watch all of them in case you missed any. But today we're going to be adding a new season into Gelli World, and I know Christmas and winter and all that stuff is like kind of leaving at this point, but with all the holidays and stuff, I didn't have much time to work on it, but I've worked on it now, so the video is here now, and that's really all that matters, honestly. It took a little bit of extra time, but it's here now. Also, stick around because there's going to be an announcement at the end of the video. The first thing I did was make this really awesome winter tile set. This is my first time ever drawing anything snow related, and winter is like my favorite season of the year, so I was really excited to be working on this. With that all done, the basics of the ground are finished. Now we need to move on to the background, like the mountains and the hills, and also things like the bushes and the trees. For the trees, I wanted them to keep their leaves. I think it's really cute, and it reminds me of one of my favorite games, Animal Crossing. Sadly, my recording bugged out of me finishing the tree and the bushes, but here they are, and I think they look really, really awesome. I love the effect everything has, and it feels really wintry and really cozy, which is exactly what I was going for. We are now going to work on the Snow Bee, which might be my brand new favorite Gelli. I love him so much. When creating a new Gelli, I basically just take the original Gelli sprite and then I color it differently, and then from there I just have different ideas and things start to change and get a little bit crazy. I originally wanted this Gelli to be like a snowman and his horns were carrots. I thought that'd be really cool, but it kind of turned out a little bit ugly. This was a crazy idea, but I thought, what if it was like a pile of snow and it was like melting, but it just looks horrible. It looks like he's like he like melted. It looks terrible. I hate it. That's when I came to the idea of the snow bee. My idea was that he had little branches on his head as horns. I don't know, it felt kind of Christmassy and wintry. And the idea is that he's like a little ice jelly and he's really angry because there's a bunch of snow on top of his head. Now we gotta get him into the game. Before we can get him into the game, he actually is a fusion jelly, and he's fused with the seasonal resource for winter, which is the snowflake. So we have to draw the snowflake and add that into the game first. Here's the finished snowflake. I think it looks really good. Now we gotta get this stuff into the game. Now if you want a snow bee, just put a jelly in the fuser along with a snowflake and you can get your very own snow bee. I love him so much. We're going to be adding ice cubes into the game, but first we're going to be adding a new mechanic. If a crop is out of season and the season changes to the next season, the crops are going to wither and you'll have to walk over them to break them, essentially losing the crop. But in winter, the crop will actually turn into an ice cube and you might be able to get your seeds or the crop back. First I drew two different sprites, one that's like some nasty withered leaves and one that's like some nasty withered sticks, and I think it looks pretty cool. Then I did some fancy beep boop coating that will wither a crop if it's out of season. And now, oh no, it's winter and all of my crops have withered. What shall I do? Now we're actually going to make that ice cube I was talking about. So here we have the ice cube, and you can see that it's actually holding some seeds. But if when the season changes and the crop is fully grown, it'll actually be the crop inside the ice and not the seeds. Now I actually have to code this to work. Making the ice cube is pretty much straightforward. All I have to do is take the heavy resource like the wooden log that I've already made, and then just tweak it so it drops different items depending on the crop that was planted. Now it works, but it's visually quite boring, so let's make some particles. Now we have a really nice particle, so I think the ice cube is finished. Next, we're going to be making this awesome new crop, the ice lolly. For winter, I wanted to add a more wacky crop, and I thought, what if in winter you could just straight up grow lollipops? And that's how I came up for the idea of the ice lolly. Also, you know, because like ice lollies, and it's like it's ice because it's winter, you know? Now we have them in the game. I think it's such a wacky and crazy idea, but I also kind of like it. I think it really adds to the fantasy element of the game. I really enjoy it, actually. We can't have a new season in the game without some new furniture. The first piece I made was shown at the beginning of the video, and that's the snowman jelly. It's such a simple idea and a simple concept, but I really struggled with it, and I don't know why, but I struggled really hard trying to draw this. I mean, like, at one point I was trying to give it a scarf, and I was like, nah, that does not look good, and it was a big ol' mess. Eventually I decided I would make it look like a snow bee, and I think it's really cute. I think it turned out really good. I like it. Next I wanted to make a little candy cane that you could put out, and I also struggled doing this. I could not get the swirls on the candy cane correct, and it was really starting to make me mad because I was already struggling with the snowman jelly. Oh man, this was a really hectic art session for me. I eventually got a design I was happy with though. The last decoration I wanted to make was a string of Christmas lights. These will be really cool because I'm actually going to make them glow in-game. Alright, I'm pretty happy with those. Now let's put it all into Gelli World. Okay, I can put down the snowman here, and put down a candy cane here. And when I put down the lights, you can see that they even glow. I think it looks so good.
You know what, I'm not going to be harsh on myself for this one. I really enjoy all of the things that I drew for the Winter Wonderland devlog for Gelli World. I think it all looked very, very nice, and I was very proud of it, and I still am. But the stupid text transition thing is still going on, and I need to stop. It cannot go on any longer.
Today we get closer to the Gelli World Kickstarter. As you may know, I don't have a job other than YouTube. YouTube is my job, and I want to continue making games and videos and stuff for you guys. So I'm going to be using a website called Kickstarter to help fund Gelli World. Before I want a Kickstarter, I want a huge portion of the game completed, and I want a really awesome public demo for you guys to have so that the Kickstarter has something when you back it. Hello everybody, and welcome back to Gelli World. Here we are on the main menu, which is a new feature for the game. You can also see that the backgrounds are a lot different and look a lot better. You can see that there's clouds in the background, and you can see a little birdie here. These are called chickadons, and they're cute little birds. And if you look on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, you can see that it says Sunshine 1.0, and that is the current name for the Kickstarter demo that I want to have available for people who back the game on Kickstarter. So you can probably tell that I've been doing a lot of work to the game in the past 3 weeks, and I want to show you guys some of the progress that I've made. So first, you can see here we have the main menu. I have a play button, a settings button, and an exit button, and the settings button isn't actually working just yet. But if I click play, you can see that we have some save files here. Yes, saving and loading is in the game. You can see like this one, it's in winter, day 1 of winter, and there's 0 coins. This one is day 6 of spring, and there's also 0 coins. We're going to actually delete this save file here, and let's start a new game. So the first thing that pops up is some controls that just tell you the basics, like how to move, how to jump, and how to sprint, and how to interact. And on the top it says find a place to sleep. This tutorial is still a placeholder, so not all of it is finished, and there's a lot of story that's missing from this tutorial. And now it tells me that I can pick up and throw items and jellies, so I can throw my jelly here, or I can pick up this and throw this, and I can collect some wood. Next, it tells me to find wood to fix the bed, so you can see that we need to sleep, but this bed here is broken. This is a new system called the rebuild system, so I can give the wood here, and it's going to ask me what I would like to rebuild it as. This first rebuild is just cosmetic. You can choose if you want a blue bed or a pink bed, but the other rebuilds in the game are going to have different stats associated with what you rebuild it as. So not only will it look different, but it'll have different effects on the game that can reflect the type of playstyle you want to have in the game. So let's say this blue bed might make you sell jellies for extra money, but this pink bed might make you sell crops for extra money. I'm gonna choose the pink bed because I'm just feeling the pink bed today. Alright, it's now the next day. You can see the beautiful background that I got going on here with that really nice parallax effect and some clouds moving in the background as well. I think it all looks really, really good. I wanted to make you guys super surprised and wowed when you see this update. I want you guys to be like, wow, this game is completely different. Everything has been changed. So one of the main things that I've been working on is redoing all of the jellies' movement and their behaviors. So now they all act differently depending on what species they are. And you can see that this little guy right here started running for a second there, and it's super cute. Here we have a bonbon, and they are very rambunctious and energetic. So you can see that he's running around. I can actually get them to run into each other. If he decides to want to run, he might run into this other jelly here. He's just kind of pushing him around currently. So the movement system for the jellies isn't fully finished, but I have most of it done. So they're much more expressive, and they have a lot more character to them, and I just really love that. You probably also can tell that this bonbon here looks a little bit different since the last time you've seen him, and that's because I wanted all of the jellies to be similarly sized, and 2 of the jellies were pretty big, and that was the leaflet and the bonbon. So here we have the new design for the leaflet. He's kind of like how he was before, but he's a little bit dirtier, and he has a little like dark kind of unibrow going on. And I think it makes more sense that they're all similarly sized. The leaflet is still bigger than the normal... Hey, what the heck? The leaflet is still bigger than the normal jellies, not by much. And their behavior is that they don't move very much, and when they do move, they move quite slow. So as you can see, this crafting table is broken, so that's our next order of business, is getting enough wood to fix this crafting table. I'm just gonna cheat in some wood here so I can fix it. Don't look at that, that didn't happen. And I'm gonna fix the crafting table, and you can see I have a crafting table here. It's really cool because this is a special crafting table. It's actually your grandparents' workbench, and you can choose to move it wherever you want. If I wanted to put it here, I could do that. And you can see that the menu for this has been completely changed, and I love the way that it looks. I have everything set up based on season, so we have all the seasonal items. So if I wanted to craft some winter stuff, if I wanted to craft some fall stuff, it's all nice and organized. While I'm here, I'll talk about one of the biggest changes that I made to the game mechanic-wise, and that's if you fuse a jelly When you feed that jelly, instead of giving you jam, it's actually going to give you that resource. So if you want a lot of leaves, you can get a leaflet in order to get a lot of leaves in return. I also made it that jellies can only be fed a certain amount of times a day, and resource jellies like the leaflet here can only be fed once or twice a day. You can see that I fed him twice and his meter is already full. If I try to feed him again, he just kind of says ... So there'll be a lot of strategy in picking and choosing what kind of jellies you want. You can probably see this in my inventory, but yes, I finally added chests into Gelli World. I can place it down and open it up. It's kind of bare bones at the moment. You can place down items and you can split them in half. That's the only functionality that the chest has currently, but it's extra storage, which is super awesome. I want to add functionality like being able to pick up and place only one of an object. In case you're wondering, if you have a chest and you break it, yes, all of the items just come spewing out of the chest and you get them back. One of the cutest new things added to the game is sometimes when you wake up in the morning, your jellies will be stacked on top of each other, and it's completely random chance if they will or will not stack on top of each other. And the stacks can get pretty high up.
You can tell in this devlog that I was getting a lot more serious about the project. I mean, I was thinking about things like tutorials and other things like that. And I really wanted this game to be a game that released and a lot of people that would play it. What am I saying? And a lot of people would play it, even people that don't know who I am. I think that was kind of a problem that I had, was I was setting this expectation for this to be a big popular game that everybody would want to play, but I was an amateur developer. It's really weird. Now my focus is more on, I want to make games that my viewers will be able to play and they'll be able to enjoy, and obviously other people can find them and play them, but they're primarily made for my viewers. Also, I stopped the stupid text transitions. This one gets a 10 out of 10. This is the best one so far. I like how I went from this is going to be behind the scenes information to me just reviewing them.
So I added a cat into Gelli World. Happy spring, everyone. It's been a bit, over a month, kind of a bit. But we got a lot of new things to talk about, as you probably are already seeing. So let's just do it. Let's start off with the sky and weather. I wanted to make the backgrounds look a little bit more interesting, and I wanted to make the game feel a lot more involved. So I added a sun and a moon into Gelli World, which is really awesome. And I added an awesome gradient sky background that changes depending on what time of day it is. Here's the sky during sunrise, day, sunset, and night. There's also some stars that appear in the sky during night, and I want to add a moon cycle in the future, so you'll be able to see stuff like crescent moons and half moons, which would be really, really cool. Okay, now let's talk about some weather. If you direct your attention to the top right hand corner of the screen, you can see that I finally have visuals that show a lot of the information about the game, such as what day it is, the time, what season, and what weather it is. This is clear weather, nice skies, the sun is out, and there's some clouds that pass by. This is the all-around weather. There's no cons or pros to this weather, so it's basically just the normal game. Next up is rainy. There's rain falling, there's darker sky, there's some big dark clouds in the background, and there's some changes that happen to the game. Some jellies prefer to not come out during the rain, so there will be less jellies that you can find during rainy weather, but some jellies really love the rain, so you can find some jellies exclusively in rainy weather. Rainy weather also increases the speed at which crops grow, but a downside to rain is that customers appear at your stand less frequently. He's just gonna buy nothing? What were you looking for? The last weather in the game is stormy. You'll have the same benefits to your crops growing faster, but you'll find less wild jellies during stormy weather, and your customers will come less frequently. There's basically going to be very few customers that'll come out during stormy weather, so it's not a good day for your store. There's also a chance every time the hour changes that thunder will appear on the screen, and it's just a small little flash. I made sure not to make it too crazy because I didn't want people with epilepsy to have any issues with it, so I made it kind of slow and a little bit dimmer. And that's all the weather that I have in the game currently. I do want to add stuff like snow and snowstorms, but I'll have to get onto that later. But for now, we just have rain and thunderstorms. But I think it's a really great start to the weather system. You'll have to tell me what you guys think down below. And if you've been looking out, you've probably been seeing this jelly and wondering, what the heck is that? This is a brand new base jelly called the Pastelli. And what I'm considering a base jelly is this one is basically like the average green jelly that you guys are used to, so it can be used for fusion. Oh wow, it's getting knocked all over the place. It can be used for fusion, and it's basically just a green jelly, but it looks different. It's exactly as common as a normal jelly, and I just thought it would be cool to have 2 different types of normal jellies so people can pick between which one they like the most. There also might be some special unique fusions tied to this jelly as well, so look out for that in the future. As you know, all of these changes are getting the game ready for the Kickstarter that'll be happening in the future, and one of the main things that I want to show off in the Kickstarter is all the different locations in the game. So here we have the start to the town. You can see that there's a broken building here, and as you may know, one of the major things in this game is rebuilding this town to make it your own. So here we have one of the broken buildings, over here we have one of the fixed buildings, and over here we have another broken building. Obviously this town is just a placeholder. I just put these buildings in here so you guys can see a little bit of what this place will be like in the future, but I'm super excited for it. Real quick, I just hopped over to A-Sprite to show you another one of the buildings. The Lunarlane alphabet just somehow manages to sometimes look like English. So this kind of looks like it says tools, but yeah, it says tools in the Lunarlane alphabet. Actually, I'm going to be really honest with you guys. This doesn't say tools. These are actually E's. The O doesn't look very different from what this looks like, but yeah, these are actually E's in the Lunarlane alphabet. Anyways, let's look at some other areas in the game. This is Lavender Beach. It's a small area that signifies the end of the map. Also, ignore the moon underneath the ground there. It's definitely not a bug. It's an Easter egg. I don't call them bugs, I call them Easter eggs. And this stock is really special because if the Kickstarter fully funds and I hit all of the stretch goals, there will be a boat here that will take you to other islands. So if you want to see that, definitely check out the Kickstarter when it's up. Now, I did say this is a small area, so it doesn't have that many unique items, but it does have 2 unique items and a unique jelly. This is a really good place to come to early on because you can find a few items that sell for a pretty penny. So the first item that you can find here is the seashell. And there's also a really rare spawn that's sandcastles. And when you break the sandcastle, you can get starfish. Like I said, this place is really good to come to early on, or just whenever you have free time so you can get a few items and sell them off for a quick buck. But there's also a jelly here. This is the jelly you'll find on the beach, and it only comes out during rainy and stormy weather, and it's known as the shell jelly. Basically, the shell jelly is a normal jelly that loves playing pretend so much that it put a shell on its head and that changed its entire species. I can't exactly tell you how that works or makes sense, but it does in the Gelli World universe. This is Vanilla Plains, the first area in the game and a place you guys are probably very used to. But as I teased in the beginning of the video, this is Coriander Forest, and it's the second area in the game. So once you get far enough in the game, you'll unlock this area that has brand new resources, new jellies, and new crops. I only have a small sneak peek of this area to show off for you guys, and one of those things is this brand new jelly known as the Fairlii, and it's a cat jelly, which is really, really cute, and I love it. And you're probably wondering how to tame the Fairlii, and you tame that using Arrow Leaf, which is a brand new crop to the game. So let's see if I'm lucky enough to tame this guy. I got it first try. I'm a pro. What can I say? I'm just a pro like that. But that's all I'm going to show for this area for now. I'll have a lot more to talk about this area in the future. So now I'm back home, and you can see my Fairlii here. He's in the pen with the rest of the jellies, just running around being a cutie. Hello everyone, and welcome to the not daily extra content. So what we're going to do is we're just going to talk about some extra stuff. I didn't feel like I talked about enough stuff in the video, so I'm going to talk about more things. The first thing is that if you can see, the grass actually has some wind applied to it, so I made a nice little wind shader, and if you walk past it, it actually wiggles back and forth, and when there's specific weather, like when it's raining, you can see little water droplets coming off of it. It also has some leaves get kicked up whenever you run through it, or if a jelly runs through it as well. As you can see, that jelly just ran through it. What a crazy guy. Oh! What the heck, man? The next piece of extra content is that I added some squishy little squishiness for when you plant the crops and when they grow. I don't know how long these take to grow, but we might be sitting here for a while. Now, I'm not fully finished with this yet, but now when you do a rebuild, you give all of the resources. You can see that it turns white and a little hammer icon appears, and you have to keep pressing the E button to fully complete the build. It just makes it a little more cinematic, and it feels more like you're actually building it. Okay, crop, I'm gonna sit here and watch you like a hawk until you grow. It's raining, so the crop should grow faster. And I have the crop set to grow pretty fast because of testing. So I got my eye on you, buddy. Any minute now. It's getting nighttime. Grow. Just grow. Oh, the carrots grew. You can see that the carrots grew. Did you see it? Do I need to put that in epic slow-mo? Another super cool epic bonus thing is that when you pick up logs and other heavy objects, particles come out to show that your character is kind of tired, and you carry it very, very slowly. Also, don't do this, but you can actually throw them at jellies and it knocks them back. But don't do that, that's mean. One last thing that I'm going to show you guys is that I added a new heavy resource in the game, and it is stone, and when you break it, you actually get stone. So stone is now in the game, and it'll be one of the core resources that you'll be using to build things. Let's see if I can tame this one on the first try as well. I'm just that good. Or I put it as a 100% chance for this video. I'm still working very, very hard to get the game Kickstarter ready, so I hope you guys bear with me while the videos take a little bit longer to be made. You probably also noticed that I didn't use my camera this time. I'm trying something different and seeing if not showing my face changes the video and how many views it gets and whatnot. It's just an experiment. I am buying a better camera though, because a lot of you have said that my camera quality is pretty bad, which yes it is. I've been using a really old camera, and using that sweet YouTube money, I'm going to be buying a new camera very soon, which is really awesome.
Brought back the stupid text. Oh, come on, man. Come on. That's all I gotta say about this one. It looks really pretty, though.
Jelly. Ignore that. Hey everybody, I wanted to try out something different, and I thought it would be really cool if you guys could sit here and watch me go through the process of creating some new jellies and other items for Gelli World. I don't know if you guys will really like this, but if you do really like it, please hit the like button. And also, if you're not subscribed, why not subscribe right now? Also, if you hit the bell, you'll know the next time that I upload a video. Okay, I'm a YouTuber, so you know, I have to say those things. Okay, so we're going to be drawing 3 jellies today, as well as different items associated with them. So every jelly has a jam, and every jelly has a gleam. The first thing that I like to do is I like to work inside a concept that has a little bit of the rest of the game in it. For this one, we're just going to be in the normal plains biome, and I have my main character here so that everything has a scale, and I also have a jelly here. And I'm also going to grab a few other things before we start. The first thing I'm going to grab is some jam, because we are going to be making jam for these jellies. And the second thing I'm going to grab is a gleam, because we're also going to be making gleams for these jellies. Now, I'm not the greatest artist, so I'm sure you guys will have a lot of nitpicks. I haven't liked drawing live in front of people because I'm really self-conscious about my drawing, because I don't really have the greatest drawing ability. So please be a little easy on me in the comments if I'm not doing best practices or I'm not the best artist. I'm just trying to have some fun here and do some different stuff on the channel. Okay, the first idea of a jelly that I had is pretty cool. I'm calling it the Biter for now, and basically it's a jelly that's a little bit evil, a little bit nefarious, it's a little bit crazy. I thought it would be really fun, and most of the jellies currently are based off of animals, and I wanted the Biter jelly to just be completely its own thing, and it'll be cool to find it out in the wild. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my jelly here, and I'm going to copy it and paste it and put it down here next to the player, just so we have a little bit of reference to the rest of the game to see if everything fits well. Let's just get a little bit of a basic idea for how I would like to do this. Like, look at that. He's a jelly, and he's got teeth. And now he looks very stupid. I kind of like that. He has little tiny eyes, and he's got the teeth. We're going to keep it like this for now while we work on some other stuff. For the horns, I would like them to be on the pointier side. If the pixels are arranged in this sort of fashion, kind of like this, it looks like it's rounded. But if I put like a thing there, it looks like this part is pointy. So I think I'm gonna do that for the horns for this guy. Maybe I'll bring them down one. That looks pretty cool, but it's pretty similar to the pastelli that I have here, which is like the normal jelly, but it has smaller horns. Perhaps this jelly has horns that stick straight up. I kind of really like that. It's kind of really cute. Look at how he looks. He looks so stupid. Why do I like this guy? Okay, we're gonna remove the eyes for now, because that's a spot that I'm gonna have trouble with. If I bring up the horns here, I think it'll look a little bit crazy. Yeah, look at that. That looks a tad bit too much. I have a jelly that I drew in the second area here called the Voltier, and it's basically a power outlet, little like plug. And that's what this guy's reminding me of when I put the horns up bigger. We're gonna have them be on the smaller side. What I can do is I can make him look like he's constantly like with the eyes is kind of reminding me of the snow bee here. Sorry guys, I'm having trouble with these eyes. I don't know why. I look so stupid. He has like void eyes. His eyes are just like a void. Oh, look at that. He's so evil. Look at how angry he is. Should I make him this angry? Okay, I'm gonna just say that this is okay for now, and now let's actually work on coloring the actual jelly. I have no clue what colors that I want to do for this guy. But here we go. We have a nice little base here to start off as. Let me get rid of the Snowbee here. I think maybe we should do some kind of grayish color. Dark gray. Very evil looking. Maybe not that dark. Very angry. He's evil. He's going, "Urgh." He's got like a little thing going on between the eyes. Like the bridge of the nose kind of deal. I think that his horns should be very, very bright. Like he's scary. He's got very, very shiny horns. That added scary factor of having the super bright horns. What if his horns went forward? He's got stabbing horns. No, I actually like them. I like them like that. It's very cute. I don't know why. I feel like he just should have some sort of texturing on him like that. That doesn't look good, but I don't know why I was thinking of that. You know what? I should add a little cute factor. One of the reasons why I love the Snowbee a lot is because he has these cute rosy red cheeks. And I think that this guy, the biter here, should have some very, very red cheeks. He's adorable. What if I gave him like big old cheeks? That's really nice. He has a little bit of a cute factor added to him, but he's also like, I'm angry. I'm angry boy. Okay, I think we're gonna call him done for the time being. I'm wondering if I can add a little bit of a highlight somewhere. This is the part where it gets annoying when I'm just stuck in my head. Look at that. That is an angry, angry jelly. And I love him. Okay, so jellies all have a certain amount of animations that they have. So we're going to draw the different animations for the biter here. So animation number 1 is pretty simple. It's just the same exact animation. It has the little line on the bottom here. Okay. Did that. The next animation is the one that a lot of people love the most, and it's the one where they have big old crazy wide open eyes. This animation happens when they're thrown and when they're knocked around, and then just when they're having a not pleasant time. Oh god, that looks horrible with him. Maybe for that animation we bring the teeth down. And then of course we have the sleepy animation. Look at him, he's sleepy. I think this guy looks awesome. Holy cow, I've been drawing for 25 minutes and we're not even fully finished yet because we still have the jam and the gleam. Well, the gleam here is pretty easy, pretty self-explanatory. Maybe like that. That's pretty cool. So we'll take his normal color. We'll fill this area in around here. Then you get like a little bit brighter. Go on the sides. This is like edgy jam. And then this one is just this color, and then this color, and then this color, and then we grab it. And then I bring down the vibrance a little bit. Desaturate it a little bit. I think it's like, since it's like edgy, it should have like pointed top, or maybe it should be reversed. Yeah, look at that, that's edgy. And then the little picture in here should represent the jelly. So I think what better represents the jelly? Ignore that. Kind of doesn't look how I want it to. What I normally do is I do the top of the jelly as the label. That looks creepy. Hey, I kind of like that. I think we did it, guys. I think we completed one of the 3 jellies that I wanted to make. I might actually only make 2. I'm not gonna call him the biter. I just have not come up with a name for him yet. So if you have any good names for this guy, please tell me down below. So here we are in a new concept. This is the concept that I have for the 3rd area of the game. And one of the really cool things in the 3rd area of the game is what is known as Mythstone. So here we have some Mythstone shards. Here we have Mythstone, and here we have a Mythstone toolbox. And then Mythstone comes from these Mythstone trees, and it also comes from the Mythstone wood log. But every gem in the game can be fused with a jelly, and that jelly will produce shards, which then can be crafted into the gem. But the myth stone doesn't actually have a jelly, so we're going to have to draw a jelly. I'll hop over here to the ruins concept, and you can see that here is the ruby stones, the ruby shards, the ruby, and the ruby jelly. And I want the gem jellies to be very, very cool and have very out there and different designs. So you can see that the ruby jelly, he's kind of like royalty. He's got the cheek thing going on, kind of like what we just did with the biter. He's got an awesome crown, and his eyes are just barely peeking out from underneath it. And he's got a little kind of expression. For the myth jelly, I'm thinking like the word myth, like maybe have it mythical, maybe make it really cool, really different. So as always, I'm going to hop over, I'm going to grab the normal jelly, and then I'm going to bring the normal jelly in here. This is what we're going to base the myth jelly off of. We're just going to take one of him, and then we're going to copy it and then paste it over here. So we have two of them, so I can look at this one while I make this one. This is just how I work. This is a weird way of working. I'm sorry, but this is just the way that I work. The idea that I had for this guy was that I wanted him to have a blue and red color because those are complementary colors and they go well together. So I wanted the base of him to be blue with the red colors. For this guy, I kind of want to go like a blue-green kind of idea, maybe. Maybe blue, purple, blue, pink. I don't know. We'll just see what happens while we start drawing. Sorry about this, poor boy, but I'm going to remove your eyes, and I'm going to remove all of the shading and other features from you. This jelly is going to be not based off of the normal jelly. I'm going to base this jelly off of the leaflet, which is actually bigger than the normal jelly. So we'll take the leaflet here, and then we will strip him of all of his personality. Just turn him into a blorp. There, now we just have a little circular kind of shape. I'm going to take this color from the myth stone, fill this guy in. Oh, he looks like a water droplet. What if he was like constantly very, very happy? What if he had like a floaty thing above his head? I don't know why that would be a thing though. Why would he have that? So my perspective here is really not good. So you guys are gonna have to give me a second while I figure out the perspective. I got this. I'm a good artist. You take the drawing, you take the horns, right? You take them, you move them over one. You know what? That's kind of cute. It's like it's wearing a little mask. At this point, it's become like a ninja. So he's like a cat in disguise, right? Kind of got that thing going. I'm liking this. Let's change the colors here. I think we went a little bit too bright with all of it. It's like a cool cat ninja. It's kind of awesome. I have no idea what we just created, but I really like it. You guys will have to tell me if I should keep this design or not. All right, let's do... We forgot to do all of our prep work, but we have all the things over here, so that doesn't really matter as much. Let's draw the different animations for this myth jelly. So we got the normal one, and then we get the one with they're up, and then we take this same one, copy that over, get him very, very shocked. He's like, ah, you've thrown me, why would you throw me? Or when another jelly bonks into him. Then we get a sleepy boy. So we'll take the thing down like that. And then actually while he's being thrown, I'm gonna have the tail like poking out of the side. Look at that, that's so cool. I really like this one. Okay, there's a few extra things that I want to do. I want to take like a really, really dark blue here. And then put that as this color. Look at this. I really like this guy. This is really cool. Get rid of that one random pixel. I don't even know how we got to here, but it was documented and you saw it. Okay, this guy is pretty cool because since he doesn't produce just jam, he actually produces a resource. In the game, if you have a jelly be your partner jelly, it will always produce a jam. But if it's not your partner jelly, it can produce other items such as these mythstone pieces here. So let's draw the jam for if this guy is your partner. I feel like the label should have green and then the lighter green. And then for the gleam, that'll be pretty easy. I have selected the wrong layer once again. Then for the gleam, just boom, bada bing, take this, do this, do that. That's pretty cool. Look at that. That's awesome. I can't wait to add these guys into the game. Tell me what you guys think about them, and also tell me what names you have for these guys.
The Ninja Cat Jelly is actually one that I've wanted to put into things since I created it, but I've never actually found a place to put it. I think I'm going to put it in Jelly Fields because it's just a perfect fit for that game, but I'm really excited to use that jelly, and I don't know why I've never actually used it. It looks so cool, and I actually really like it. Also, no text transition, so hopefully this is the last one. What? There wasn't any in this one. Why would it be the last one if there's nothing in it? Hopefully there aren't any more, is what I meant to say.
I gotta go get some seeds. Don't put this part in the video. Hello everybody, and welcome back to Gelli World. We're actually in a older version of Gelli World, which I'll get onto in a second. But first, let's talk about what we're going to be doing in this video. So recently, I've been getting the game ready for the Kickstarter, and I only want to do the Kickstarter for this game when I know that the game is the vision that I have for it and that it's really awesome and you guys will enjoy it. So I've been looking at the things that I've been creating and seeing, are these things good enough in order to be given to you guys? And I discovered that there's lots of parts of the game that I want to change and improve for you guys. Two of those things being the farming system and the building system in the game, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm in an older version of Gelli World to show you guys the old versions of those, and then we'll hop into a newer version of Gelli World to show you the new versions. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the farming, about why it kind of sucked and how I improved it. And the first reason why it sucked is because this is where you farmed. You had this area right here, and that was it. You couldn't farm anywhere else but this area, and this area would actually start off this small and then expand outwards as you upgraded your farm, which is kind of cool in its way, but it doesn't give you a lot of freedom of being able to farm wherever you want. I just realized that this version of the game does not have a sun. That's very weird. Also, the farming was really lackluster, and it kind of felt tacked on, and the farming is such a big part of the game, and having it feel tacked on kind of sucks. So here we have a fully grown crop. I press a button, and I get the crop. And that was the harvesting for the game. The rest of the farming is just about as boring as that. You grab some seeds, you get a little indicator showing if you can or cannot plant your seeds. You plant them, that's it. Then you just wait, and they eventually grow, and then you can harvest them. You plant some more seeds, the cycle continues. And that's kind of really boring. You don't feel like you have a relationship between you and your crops, and it doesn't feel satisfying to harvest them when you basically just put them down, forget about them, and then come back later. So I definitely had to go to the drawing board to fix that up. Now let's talk about the building. Don't put this part in the video. This is the part in the video where I cheat in a bunch of materials. So the building in the game actually kind of sucked. So you held the furniture in your hand, you walked around, and it would tell you if you can or cannot place the furniture. Like, I can't place the furniture here, for example, but I can place it here. Code-wise, this sucked because every single location that you could build in was a prefab, and it was just hand-placed by me, and there's a really ugly manager script that I had for all of this. Totally not good. I'm still new to Unity. I think I've just hit 1 year of using Unity and C#. So obviously I make a lot of beginner mistakes and I have to go back later and fix them. And one of those beginner mistakes that I made was this horrible building system. So you hold the furniture in your hand and then you press a button and you place it down. You can walk over it and flip the furniture as well. And then if you want to remove the furniture, you hold the button and it pops off. There is also wall furniture that you can put when inside the house. Obviously, you can just put it down, and then I can put down furniture like that below it. And there's also furniture like the tables that you can put items on top of, as well as like these shelves right here. Now, I'm going to show you guys a few of the problems that I have with the system and why I wanted to change it. One of the biggest problems was there's no way to differentiate whether you want to interact with the bottom furniture or the top furniture. So for example, if I walk over here and I try to remove, let's say these logs, I go to remove and all of the furniture pops off from that space, which is actually quite annoying. The next issue that I have for this is that if I put some wall furniture here, well, first of all, you can see that that happened and that was annoying. Let's say I want to put this on the table. Okay, I put it on the table, put this on the shelf. Okay, now that came off the table. I'll put this back on the table. Okay, now that came off the shelf. I think you guys can see the problem here. I also think that people will want to edit their entire house at once, and having to run around to each individual spot and place the furniture might get a little bit tedious and people might not like that. Those are a few of the issues that I had with this building system. And now let's jump over to a newer version of the game so I can show you all of the brand new stuff that I've done. And it's really, really awesome. Okay, here we are in the newest version of Gelli World. And it's a rainy day out in Gelli World, which is crazy because it's actually a rainy day outside while I'm recording this. So the mood in this game and in real life are really matching up. I hope that this game is as cozy as a real rainy day inside the game. That would be amazing because I feel like a lot of people would enjoy that. That is completely off track. Let's talk about farming. Okay, so the eagle-eyed viewers might have noticed that there's an extra slot to the left of my inventory, and I can scroll over there and I can't reach that slot. And that slot is my current equipped tool. That's right, I added tools into Gelli World. So I can change what selected tool I have, and there's currently 3 of them in the game, and there's more that I have planned. The 3 that are in the game are the hoe, the watering can, and the building hammer. Let's start off with the hoe. You have the hoe, and you use the interact key, and you farm. So you can farm on any grass that's in the plains biome. I was thinking you should be able to farm in other places, like in the forest. Then you would have to run all the way from here to the forest in order to farm, and that just doesn't really make sense. So you can see that this dirt that I have tilled here is a different color from this dirt over here. This untilled dirt is what happens when you harvest a crop on tilled dirt. It returns back to untilled. Wow, that's a lot of saying the word tilled. Put a tilled counter in the bottom of this video. So this untilled dirt you cannot farm on. So for example, I'm trying to place down these seeds and nothing is happening. But this tilled dirt over here, I can actually plant these seeds. If you look at these crops, you can see that they have a little bit of a particle effect. It's like a water spurt coming off from them. And that means that they're watered. So now in order for your crops to grow, you have to water them every single day. If you forget to water them for 1 day, they'll just stop growing. But if you forget to water them for 2 days, they will wither and they'll die off. And if you walk through them, they'll poof into a cloud of dust and be gone forever. So make sure to water your crops or they'll die off on you. And the way that you can water your crops is by using your watering can. If you look, there's a gray line above the watering can, and that shows you how much water you have left in the can. Currently, I have no water in the can. And you can refill that by coming over to this new location, which is the well. So this well will start off broken and you can rebuild it. And you'll also get a crafting recipe for the well. So you can craft as many wells as you want and put them around your farm as you see fit. You can also remove this one and place this one wherever you want. So the freedom is up to you. You can do it however you want. This little area that spawns right here is just a suggestion for where you might want to start your farm, since this is a wide open area. But if you really wanted to, you could maybe come over here, which is closer to where the town will be, and farm up here as well. The choice is really yours, and I really wanted to make sure that the player had the freedom of being able to do things wherever they wanted to. So let's go over here, and let's use our watering can on this well, and it'll refill. But here's a special secret. During rainy weather, if you use your watering can anywhere, it'll be refilled. It was getting a little late out, so I went back inside and went to bed. And of course, the next day is a thunderstorm, of course. So the weather is only getting crazier here in Gelli World. So here's an example for how it would go if it wasn't raining. I'll go over here and I'll sploosh water my plants, and then they'll be watered. You might also be saying, what the heck are these crops? I've never seen them before. These are Azleberry. Azleberry is crazy because Azleberry is the first ever thing that I created for the Lunaland universe back in like 2014 or something like that. Back when the Lunaland universe was just an idea that I had in my mind, and I would write out these different things. I created a berry called the Azleberry, and I also created a little squirrel, and the squirrel loved the Azleberries. And I was really enjoying making the relationship between these two things. And I finally got to add the Azleberries into a game, which is absolutely amazing. So this is the Azleberry bush, and it is a new thing in the game because it is a bush. So how bushes work is when they fully grow, you can come up to them and harvest them, and instead of going away forever, they just reset back a stage. And then the next day you can come back to them and harvest them again. They can be harvested for a few amount of times before they poof go away like all of the other crops in the game do. And also, I got really unlucky there, but the berry bushes are really cool because you can harvest multiple crops at once. So this one gives between 1 to 3 Azleberries. So these bushes will probably be pretty expensive seeds to buy and also rare to find in the wild because they're pretty freaking awesome. I mean, you guys know me. I can't just revamp a system and just leave it at that. I have to revamp the system and then add a bunch of freaking random new stuff to it. And this was one of the new things that I wanted to add, and I've always wanted to have bushes in the game, so this is really exciting. And I didn't want to leave it at that. I wanted to show you guys stuff that's coming for the future as well, and there will be upgraded versions of your tools, and as you gain experience and level up in the game, your tools will also level up as well. And I want to show you guys what it'll be like when you upgrade some of these tools. So when you upgrade your hoe, you'll be able to use a super move that'll till a bigger area. So you press the button and then press it again, a little sparkle will appear, and then you'll do the super move. So watch this. Boom, and you can see that I tilled a 3 large area. And that's just super cool. It'll be a more efficient way for you to farm like a very large area to just go around doing this. I'm making an absolute mess and this looks very ugly. But it's really cool, right? And of course, the watering can has that as well. You use it and then it waters a larger area. So this is really, really awesome. I cannot express how happy I am with myself for being able to make this. There was a lot of grid related things and changing and saving tile map type stuff, and the game actually runs smoother than it did before with the older system, which is really weird to think because this system is so much more robust and different. I'm very proud of myself for doing this. Oh look, the sun is back out. Wasn't it weird not having a sun in that older version? I can't believe I went so long in this game without having a sun. It's now the next day and you can see that the bushes here, they're not watered anymore because it's not raining. So we actually have to go up to them and splooshy water them. So they're not watered and you see the effect again. I don't know if I'm going to keep this effect. You guys should tell me what you think about this effect, or if you have a better idea for what would look better for showing that a crop has been watered. Some people have suggested little sparkles. I also made a thing where it kind of looks like water is dripping off of the crop, but I settled on this for now. You'll have to tell me what you guys think down below. Speaking of down below, a lot of you that watch these videos are not subscribed. And if you're like, oh, I should check if Fairlii has a new video, brother, there's a button that you can click that just tells you that I've made a new video, and it makes it appear in your feed. Just smack the subscribe button for me, please. This is my passion, this is my job, and I want this to continue being my job as I get older. And game development is my passion and my dream, and being a YouTuber has always been a thing that I wanted to do. So please subscribe if you haven't, and also press the like button if you've liked what you've seen so far. I mean, come on, man, you gotta like this. Look at this. Look at this little guy right here. Who doesn't like that? Look at this guy. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get on to the building. So this is something I'm really excited for. The building is really different and it's actually really freaking awesome. So I'm holding this furniture and you can already see, what the heck, man, there's no indicators on the ground. And that's because holding furniture doesn't do anything anymore. You actually have to go into build mode. So how you enter build mode is you mosey on over to the... Did I just say mosey on over? What the heck? I always wait way too late in the day before I start saying stuff. You guys can tell how many takes that I do and mess up by the time in the game. For the difference between the last thing I said and then the next thing that I say, just look at the difference between the time in the game and you can see how long it takes me to do some of these takes. I also have a little bit of a azleberry seed explosion going on over there. So in order to start building, you have to select the building hammer and then use it and you'll enter build mode. You can see that there's a gloved hand holding up the furniture and it's kind of bobbing up and down. And this was just a little bit of visual flair that I had for the building system. I thought it would be really cute if the building system was controlled by this little gloved hand. I don't even know how I came up with the idea of this, but I just thought it was really cool, and I actually have fallen in love with it, and I think it's amazing. So there's a little hand, and it holds the furniture that you currently have selected, and you can move around a specific distance. You can't go on forever, obviously. That'd be a little bit crazy, but you can go pretty far away from where your character is standing and build as you see fit. So I can place down these logs here and place down some more and some more if I really wanted to. And of course, you can rotate things as well. Another cool feature is that you can rotate them before you even place them, which is actually pretty awesome. And then of course you can remove them, and the animation for removing them is really cool because the hand like boink, like flicks it or like pokes it and it pops off. I think it's so cool. I love it. And this is crazy because the system for how it works now allows you to build anywhere you want. If I wanted to go over here and I wanted to build right here, Boom, I could build right there if I really wanted to. I could even go to like the beach area and build on the beach. And of course, this system also works with the wall furniture as well. And it's really awesome because if I place furniture below the wall furniture, I can actually go up and select the wall furniture and remove it individually instead of both of them popping off at the same time. And I think that's really awesome. The system currently doesn't allow you to put things on furniture, for example, being able to put these berries on the shelf, but I'll get to that in the future. I've been working on this for so long that I got completely burnt out on doing it, so I'll come back to that later. This system is also really cool because it allows me to be able to make different sized furniture. So for example, I have these paintings here that are actually quite large, and I wasn't able to do that with the older system. Having this building system be so much more robust is amazing, and I'm absolutely in love with it. Also, look at this giant freaking pineapple. Isn't that awesome? I asked my friend what furniture I should add in the game, and they said, add a giant pineapple. So I'm like, I mean, yeah, why wouldn't I? So now there's officially a giant pineapple in Gelli World. How you'll get the crafting recipe, I don't know. But is it awesome? Yes, it is.
So this video is a really good example of me doing something that the community really wanted, but I really didn't want to do it. I wanted the farming in Gelli World to be very, very simplistic, but you know, there's games like Stardew Valley and other farming games that exist that have more in-depth and better farming systems. So I felt a lot of pressure from that, and I actually redid the entire farming system to be more Stardew-like, where you know, you're tilling the ground and you have to water the plants and stuff. I personally didn't really like it, but I know a lot of people really thought that the idea was really cool. I also added tools into the game, which was another thing I didn't really want to add, but I felt the pressure from the community to add these things, and I think that's one of the reasons why I stopped liking Gelli World as much, as it was becoming other people's game and not really mine.
Quick question, what's the ugliest thing in Gelli World? Man, why are you zooming in on me? Hi, I'm Fairlii. I'm developing a farming, Animal Crossing, Pokemon, Slime Rancher inspired game called Gelli World, and this is a devlog. I've determined one of the ugliest things in Gelli World is the player. I mean like the main character. I don't mean you. All of my subscribers are beautiful. And if you too want to be beautiful, click the subscribe and like button on this video. When Gelli World started 8 months ago, I drew this guy. He's the main character, he fits the farming theme, and he also has an unfinished walk animation. He kinda sucks. Gelli World is centered around the player, and having one predefined main character doesn't help the average person feel immersed into the Gelli World universe. I want people to be able to express themselves in whatever way they want, so my goal for today is to create relatable player sprites, new races, new hairstyles, new clothing, and brand new animations. My goals for this new character were pretty simple: look cute and don't suck. So I opened a sprite and take a look at this guy, and I really couldn't figure out how to improve him. I mean, he's kinda cute, but I also don't think he fits the style of the game that well. I didn't want to work on the body, so I started trying to draw a better head. I was pretty stumped, but then I got a call from my friend Cozy Toes. Hello?
Bro, the eyes in Gelli World are really ugly,
Okay.
and I hate you.
Life of a game dev, am I right? And he was exactly right. All I had to do was this, and the head already looked much better. But then I thought I should change the design of the eyes themselves, and I tried a bunch of different things, and all of them were ugly. Now that we have a nice looking head, I moved on to the body. I know that I'm not a funny game dev meme kind of channel, but creating the new character design really felt like this. Oh wow, it's pretty. Oh. I felt like every pixel I put down either fixed or ruined the sprite, and it was starting to get really annoying. I essentially ended up taking the player character and squishing it down to make it cuter. Now that it has a big head and a little body, it reminds me of Funko Pops. I actually dislike Funko Pops. I think they're ugly and scary, and I'm sorry that I just upset you. Eventually, I got to a character design I liked, and I didn't just like it, I loved it. I mean, look at these two side by side. The new one is clearly the superior choice. I'm gonna give him a ribbon for winning. So my game is highly inspired by games like Stardew Valley and Animal Crossing, and those games have awesome character customization. And since my game is similar, I wanted to have really awesome character customization as well. Something cool I'm doing with Gelli World is having multiple different races. The first race is humans. Kinda lame though. But the second race you'll have seen if you watch my Luna Lane devlogs. It's known as an Aphor, and it's essentially a fox person. I started with the Aphor head from Luna Lane and made it just a little bit cuter to fit the Gelli World aesthetic. I also made the hands look more like paws. Here's the finished Aphor. The next race I made you can also see in the Luna Lane devlogs. It's an adorable cat race known as an Eulalian. This design was a bit harder for a few different reasons. The first being that the Eulalians are shorter than the other races, so I have to make the body a pixel shorter. I also didn't like the original head design from Luna Lane, so I had to make it cuter to fit Gelli World more. Essentially, I took the head and made it a bit rounder and changed the eyes to be a different shape. Last but not least is a brand new race called a Raynor, and they are freaking frogs. Their head shape was a bit harder to make, but it turned out so cute. You also can see they share the same height as the Eulalians. Also, it's a frog. I mean, like, what's not to like? Now that I had all the different races created, it was time to animate them, which was the hardest thing that I've ever done. First, I started with a walk cycle, and man, it was a journey. I tried to make colored squares to visualize movement of the hands and the feet, and I just couldn't get it to look how I wanted to. By that I mean, I threw a little baby fit and cried to people on Discord. I almost wanted to have a cartoony and jumpy feel to it, sort of like in the Mario games, but I was having a ton of trouble getting it right. Eventually, I finished the walk cycle, and this is what it looks like. On a side note, I spent so long on this animation that I really wish I could throw hands with it. Next, I needed some more animations. I made 2 frames for a jump and a fall, as well as the animations for using an item or a tool. In the game, holding items is a major mechanic, so I needed to make variations of the animations while an item is being held. These are pretty simple to create. With that done, I have all the animations for the player. That's just for the human. I gotta do it for the other races too. The next course of action was giving these guys some hair. Also, there's some naked guys there. Don't look at that. I'm gonna take this head here and I'm gonna use this as my model for these hairstyles. I got some nice longer hair. I got this shorter hair. I don't even know what this one actually is. It just kind of looks funny. I have this shorter, messier hair. This was my attempt at a bowl cut. We got an afro, some super messy hair, longer hair with buns, and a ponytail. I didn't want to be too intricate with the hair because I just wanted to be able to smack it onto someone and then it looked good. Over here I also have some of the hair colors that I want to have in the game. I wanted a mixture between real hair colors and some more vibrant ones, and I think this collection that I have right here is pretty nice so far, but I definitely want to add more in the future. After I did the hair, I started working on clothing, and clothing is annoying because I have to draw it for every single frame of animation. And there are absolutely a lot of frames of animation. If you're curious as to how I do that, I have this project right here, which just has the base player with all of the animations on it. And then I have the clothing all on separate layers, and I just draw it for each of the layers. Here's the clothing that I've drawn so far. The signature overalls, this red striped shirt, an orange shirt, this blue shirt that's a short sleeve, and I also have some blue pants, brown pants, green pants, and blue shorts. And of course, shoes. You gotta have some shoes. I got some brown boots, some blue shoes, some green shoes, and some white shoes. Also, this guy has his own shirt as well, so that's another shirt. Wait, hold up. You're just gonna glance over my mans when he's dripped out of his mind? I might have to unsubscribe for that, for real. These guys are actually taller than these guys, so that means that I have to draw the clothing at different sizes for them. So that's also another added element to how annoying it is to make clothing for these guys. Wait, hold up. Fairlii, you gonna pass over these guys?
I don't have much to say about this video other than you can really tell I was having fun in this one. I must have been very, very happy that I made these characters look good, which means I probably struggled a lot to make them. Normally, when I'm very, very excited about something after finishing it, it's probably because it took me a very long time to do it and there was a lot of stress and anger involved. Why am I always making these so negative? It was a good thing. It was good. I was happy and they're great.
What if I was one of those YouTubers that had like a super insane intro? Welcome back to Gelli World! Anyways, it's been a while. It's almost been 2 months. If you're wondering where I was taking a little break, and game development is hard. Fairlii, shut up. You wanna know what's the opposite of hard, and by that I mean easy? The sponsor of today's video.
There is no sponsor because this isn't the actual video. So shut up, Fairlii. You shut up.
So game development is hard, and of course I'm a little beginner baby, so I make a lot of mistakes. What can I say? I'd be making mistakes. But this video is not about making mistakes, it's about making the game that you want to make. I don't know why I'm doing things with my finger. Ever since I started Gelli World, like a Twitter post that's controversial, it's been doing numbers. You turn me, a little internet nerd with 2 followers, into an internet nerd with 5 followers. Look at that. Look at that, there's a Garfield. Easter egg! As the devlogs have gone on, I've realized that I'm not really having as much fun with the project as I think I should have. Opening the game kind of felt like a chore, and every addition to the game just felt like I was adding something that you guys suggested in the comments, and it didn't really feel like it was coming from my heart. While I was on my break, I thought, should I restart Gelli World? And I thought, no, I won't restart Gelli World. And thought, maybe I will restart Gelli World. It was kind of all over the place. But anyways, I decided that I was gonna make a new project and bring stuff from the old project into the new one and work on compatibility and make sure I can read my own code. Like I said, I'm a beginner, so all of this is still pretty new to me. Before I made this devlog, I was going to record my entire process of me making the game, kind of like how I did in my older devlogs. But I really don't like doing that, and I gave up, but I did get this funny clip out of it. Okay, that's enough of my stupid face. Welcome to the new Gelli World. There's stuff floating in the air, and it looks really cool. Let's talk about it a little bit. This is what happens when I don't fully script out the whole video. So let's first talk about what you're seeing here. Oh wow, that tree just grew right in my face. So this is Gelli World. It's a lot different from the last time you've seen it. Right off the bat, I just want to talk about the verticality in the game. So in the original Gelli World, the game was very, very flat, and you didn't really jump much. That's because I wanted the game to be cozy, so I didn't want it to be a lot of jumping and things like that, but I'm making a platformer game. I should make use of the awesome things you could do with platformers. So I have a few different abilities to be able to unlock throughout the game, one of which being a wall jump and wall sliding. Another thing you'll be able to unlock is double jumps and even triple jumps. And one of my favorite things in the game so far that you'll be able to unlock is gliding. So you hold out a little balloon and you glide around, and I think it's amazing. I also made it so that every time you glide, there is a different colored balloon. I wanted to figure out a way to add verticality to the game that didn't feel unnatural, so I thought of the idea of floating islands. Yeah, floating islands, very, very natural, Fairlii. Good job, thank you. But adding this verticality has really added something different and unique to the game, and I really enjoy it. It allows for a lot of different awesome things to happen in the game. It's turned to night now, but you also can see that I have updated my art style and my colors and all of that. I knew that if I was going to be doing a sort of a restart of Gelli World, that I was gonna have to bring it this time and actually go for it. So I've spent this time away learning how to draw a lot better. I personally think that the game, it looks amazing. I finally have an art style to where I see things and I'm like, that actually looks pretty. That looks like a game that I want to play. One of the things that I think doesn't look that great is these hills and these mountains. I think the sprites look fine, but they look very disconnected in my opinion. So what's different in this version of Gelli World? Well, there's going to be a ton of stuff that's different, but today we're just talking about the groundwork, the baseline of everything. And when I first started this, of course, one of the things that I wanted to create was procedural generation of things in nature. That was the original plan that I wanted in Gelli World, but I didn't know how to achieve it, so I had things just spawn and set specific locations every time, and it was a little bit meh. I don't want you guys to be confused. The actual ground is not procedurally generated. The map is going to be hand drawn by me. That's by design, but the things that spawn on it will be procedurally generated in the wild. So all of these turnips and these logs and these rocks and these trees have all spawned naturally by themselves. I can even push a button and force things to spawn, and it's all on a system that's random, so some things have a higher chance of spawning than other things. Like these sweet roots here have a lower chance of spawning, so you're less likely to see them. You also have probably noticed that the trees are actually growing. For example, I can pick up this acorn here and I can plant it and there will be more trees. Ignore that there's a sun in the sky when it's night. Just ignore that. That's an Easter egg. It's not placeholder, it's an Easter egg. So one of the things that I really wanted to focus on was having a different type of inventory system. So now you pick up items just like you would in normal Gelli World, and you can throw them, of course. But now you can pick them up and place them in your inventory. Previously in Gelli World, items would fall on the ground and you would walk over them to collect them. But now you walk over them and nothing happens. You have to actually pick them up and put them into your inventory. And I'm going to open up my inventory here, and you can see that I only have 9 slots, and that will be the highest upgrade you can have for your backpack. When you start off, you will only have 3 inventory slots. So inventory management is definitely going to be a thing, and of course there'll be furniture that'll help you manage your inventory. So here I have this little crate that has 3 slots, and you'll be able to craft different furniture that has different storage amounts. But you're probably thinking 9 slots, that's still not a lot, and if you're going to start off with 3, that's going to be terrible. And it kind of is, but you also have to remember that you can carry an item on your head as well, so your inventory can be full, but you can still be carrying an item with you. And also, I'm going to add a feature to where you can give your jelly an item and it'll hold on to one as well. So actually, you kind of have 11 slots in total. There'll be another thing that has to do with inventory management that'll be really awesome and has to do with magic, but I'll talk about that in a later devlog. I'm just so excited, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just so excited. I was going to script out this whole thing, but I couldn't do a script because I could not sit still. I'm just so excited to talk about this. This guy mowing the lawn outside. Of course that will happen.
Just watching this video back makes me so excited because you can hear how excited I was in this video. When I came up with all these new concepts for Gelli World, I was so happy because I was just running into a wall with the original project and it wasn't getting anywhere and there were so many bugs. So when I came up with all these ideas, everything just kind of fit together perfectly and I was just excited to tell everyone about it. I also said there was an inventory thing that had to do with magic, and what that actually was called the magic mailbox, where essentially you'd be able to spawn a mailbox and put items in it, and then when you came back home, that would be a physical mailbox at your house that you could open and take those items out of. I never made it though.
Look at this bird. That is a good bird. Welcome everyone back to Gelli World. By the way, still on Kickstarter pre-launch, so if you want to know when the Kickstarter goes live, make sure to click that MF follow button on the Kickstarter pre-launch. Oh god, I haven't done an intro in a while, guys. It's not good. So I had the sudden urge to add cooking into Gelli World, and I'm like trying to figure out exactly where to start. And I started by making this campfire, and then I made it so that if you put an item on the campfire, it'll turn into a cooked item. And that's like the most basic form of cooking I could think of. You put the item in the thing and it makes the thing. Next, I went a little bit crazy and I made this pop-up that shows how far along the cooking process is, and I also made it so that food could burn. I thought it would be really cool if there was danger associated with cooking, and the danger here is if you just don't look at your food, it'll burn. But don't worry, you can eat burnt food, but it doesn't really do much for you. Now, I'm sorry for not recording all of this, but I had previously drawn an egg and a fried egg. And in order to make a fried egg, you need to have an egg and salt. So here's me drawing up the salt sprite. You know how salt will have these like sharp edges and they're like weird geometrical shapes? I kind of wanted to do that in Gelli World, but the sprite was looking a little bit weird. But eventually I got there, and that's salt done. Okay, the format of this devlog is going to be really weird, but I wanted to show you guys the exact process that I take when making things. And let me tell you what, I bounce all over the dang place. I cannot make up my mind what I want to do next. So next I wanted the little pop-up to actually show what you're going to cook before it's finished if you've already discovered that recipe. So now the first time I put food on a cooking table, it doesn't know what it's gonna make. Obviously it'll show you if it's gonna burn, but the second time that you put it on, it'll actually show you what the final recipe will be. Next, I wanted to make nasty food mush if you combine the wrong ingredients. This adds a second danger to cooking. If you use the wrong ingredients and it's not an actual recipe, you're just gonna get mush. Nobody wants mush. I tried drawing it on its own, but it looked a little bit weird, so I put it on a plate similar to the fried egg, and then I decided I'm just gonna change the fried egg sprite afterwards because I thought that the smaller plate looked better. Now when you cook food with the wrong ingredients, you'll get mush. I also updated the sprite. I put little specks on the side so it looks like it's kind of dripping off the plate. Next, I put out a post asking you guys what kind of food you wanted me to add into Gelli World, and one of you suggested a bunch of potato-related things, and I thought, you know what? I'm gonna make some French fries. And I didn't know French fries were going to become one of my pixel art enemies, but I could not figure out how to make these look good. I tried making them long and putting them in a green container similar to how you get fries at McDonald's, but I didn't want to do it red, and I thought green because of Gelli World. Then I changed the shape of the fries and the container, but it was pointed out to me that it kind of looks like a dragon claw. So I thought maybe let's just do a pile of fries, and then it looked like weird sticks, or they were like super long, so that didn't look good. At this point in my life, French fries were public enemy #1, and I decided to change the packaging and make it blue, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that looks like French fries. I'm done. I don't want to mess with them anymore. I gave up. They won. The French fries won. I lost. After that, I did boring stuff, like adding the new items into the game, and the sprites. Do you guys really want to see that? Is that entertaining? I don't know. I barely don't know how to make devlogs anymore. It's been too long. Y'all want to put on my big old YouTuber shoes and I'm gonna say, please like this video and subscribe if you aren't subscribed because I make devlogs and I'm a silly little man. Why would I say that? Okay, so what you're watching me make is the salt rock that you'll be able to find out in the wild, and if you break it, you get salt. I thought it would be cool if it was like a cluster of rocks with like salt poking out of the sides of it, but it was looking a little bit weird, maybe kind of like butt cheeks a little bit. But I eventually found a sprite I was happy with. Now when you mine the salt rock, you get salt. I was actually really excited to have that in the game. I thought it'd be nice to update you on my life and show you some of the awesome things I got for Christmas. This year was crazy for me. My girlfriend and I traveled to my home state of Michigan to spend Christmas with my family this year. And lo and behold, she surprises me with a Switch OLED, which I've wanted for so long, but they've been scalped so hard, and she actually found one in Michigan and bought it for me on the spot there. She's absolutely amazing. She also found me the Metroid Dread amiibo, which also have been scalped like crazy. I'm so glad I got these because I think Metroid Dread might have been my game of the year. I absolutely love that game from start to finish. I also was convinced by my brother and my nephew to buy an Oculus Quest 2, and I've been loving VR. It's absolutely great. There's a bunch of other stuff that I got for Christmas, and it was just an awesome Christmas this year. Okay, back to Gelli World. I want a jelly that's a chicken. You want a jelly that's a chicken, so let's make a jelly that's a chicken. I started with the Avia Leo as the base because it's basically a turkey, which is kind of like a chicken. And not only have I struggled with French fries, but I also struggled with birds. Bird jellies are hard. I actually spent so much time on this, and I was so annoyed that I just shut off the recording, and I was only gonna turn it back on when I was finished because I was just so angry. And this is what I ended up with. It's called the Cluku. It's absolutely adorable. I honestly love how it turned out. As always, I drew its animations and it's very cute. And then I had to draw something new, which is the jelly's essence, which I'll need to talk about in a later video. Its essence is so cute. It's like a little egg. So I put the Cluku in the game, and that's wrong. Now it's perfect. We have a beautiful little bird running around getting bullied by the other jellies, and I love it. It's so adorable. Now, sadly, I didn't record any footage of this, but I pretty much scrapped the entire cooking system in favor of a new menu. I was having a lot of issues with the cooking system. Basically, it would start cooking the second you put ingredients in, so if something had multiple ingredients, it would just start cooking over and over again, and I think a menu is just a lot better. Okay, so you have 3 slots on the top left where you can put your ingredients in. You can also see the little flame is now in the middle, so you can see how far the cooking process is. There's also the recipe in the top right, which shows you how much hunger and how much energy the food will give you, if you know the recipe, that is. This is where the finished product will come out, and obviously when you have the ingredients, you press the go button to cook. I think the menu looks nice. I'm extremely excited to have this done, but here's the start of the brand new cooking system. Here I'm gonna put a turnip on the top, and then obviously I'm gonna press the go button. It's gonna start cooking. And once it fills up, I have a roasted turnip. Now that I've cooked a roasted turnip before, you can see on the top right the recipe says roasted turnip and shows me the stats for it. Obviously, it also supports recipes that have multiple ingredients, like French fries, which require a rock potato and salt. Adding cooking into Gelli World has been something I wanted from the very start. I've always wanted to add cooking to a game before. I'm just so happy that I've actually added it into a game. I'm just excited for all of the different possibilities. If you have any cooking recipe suggestions, please let me know in the comments. I decided to end this devlog off by drawing more food and ingredients. So here's something I actually drew a while ago, and they are something that we were joking about in the Discord server. Jelly Pop-Tarts, otherwise known as Jelly Tarts. Now I was thinking Jelly Tarts would probably require fruit, and then dough and sugar. So let's draw dough and sugar. I tried to make the dough into this like weird shape. I don't know what I was doing at first, and then I'm like, you know what, I just make a ball of dough. That makes the most sense. Dough is gonna be one of the most crucial ingredients to a lot of Gelli World chefs. Now that the dough is done, it's time to make the sugar, and I based it off of the salt, obviously. Sugar and salt kind of look similar, but I didn't want it to be too similar, so I thought maybe let's do, like, you know, there's a pile of sugar, so I was just thinking a bunch of little pieces of sugar would work. I'm not exactly sold on this Sprite. I'll probably have to go back and change it later. There we have the Sprite for the sugar. The next thing was suggested by one of you, and it was pizza. Now, I decided to make two different types of pizza. One is pepperoni and one is cheese. Now, I'm a huge fan of pizza, but I'm not a huge fan of drawing pizza because apparently I suck at it, just like French fries and chickens. I tried making it face downward, I tried making it face straight up, I tried making it into a whole entire pizza, but eventually I got a Sprite that I really liked, and I'm actually really into this pizza. Originally, the pepperoni had cheese coming off of the sides, but when I made the cheese pizza, I decided to remove the cheese from the sides of the pepperoni because that makes the cheese pizza look extra cheesy. Next, there's another suggestion from you all, and that's coffee. I am not a master pixel artist, so when it comes to different perspectives, I have a hard time with that. I didn't want to draw a cup from the side because how are you going to tell there's coffee in it? So I wanted the cup to be kind of at an angle, and I was really struggling to figure out how to get that to look properly. I could make it look okay, but the cup would end up being way too big in comparison to all the other items in the game, so it was very difficult to get it perfect. Once I started shading it, it looked really weird, so I decided to change the color to be not just a white cup, but I decided to make it a nice green color, you know, the jelly colors. And there we have a nice cup of coffee. The last thing I'm gonna be making, you guessed it, was suggested by you all, and that is a baguette. Now I'm actually gonna be making a mini baguette, and this one was actually really simple. This one looks the least great out of all of them, but I think they all turned out really nice. Okay, I think that's all for today's devlog. The cooking is something that still pains me to this day because I wanted to add cooking and I wanted it to be impactful and I wanted it to be fun and cool, but it was just not working out. And let me be honest with you guys, after this devlog, I completely scrapped this entire cooking system and tried something completely different, and that didn't work either. And then I eventually just kind of gave up on the cooking and just made it a crafting menu before the game got corrupt. I really just love and hate trees at the same time. Trees are so beautiful and complex. I mean, have you ever seen a cherry blossom? Those things are awesome looking. Another one of my favorite things is when it's winter and there's icicles hanging off of the trees. It just looks so good. Mario 64 has some of the best looking trees for me. I just really like the way they look. I want to touch them. Is that weird that I want to touch them? Also, notably, the trees in the earlier Pokemon games looked really good. Especially the one that looks like a buff guy. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but it looks like a buff guy. But I love trees. I just hate drawing the stinking things. I hate them so much. I think I even said in a devlog in the past that I hate drawing trees. Trees are normally my arch nemesis. I'm just thinking about how ridiculous this video is. Like, look, can you see all of the different things that I've opened up here at the top just for drawing trees? So we're gonna begin our journey at the original version of Gelli World. Shout out to all you people that have been here since the original version. And we have this tree here, and I spent a very long time drawing this tree, and I actually think this tree is extremely beautiful. I love it, and even the ones in the background look really good too. If you remember, I did videos where I added tools to Gelli World, and I was also going to add the ability for you to chop down trees, and so I wanted to make trees have their own life cycle. So I had a little acorn, and then it grew into like a little sapling, and then the sapling grew up, then it grew into like a tiny tree, then the big tree, and then when you chop it down, there's a tree stump. This one right here not look very good, but the rest of it I think looks pretty good, other than the stump. That's pretty meh. But then I yeeted Gelli World off into the sunset, and I restarted with the newer version of Gelli World. And so when I did that, I drew this tree, which a lot of you have given me your feedback about this tree being particularly ugly. I was basing this tree off of retro games, how they would have like trees where they are like very weird and odd shapes. And I kept this tree for a while, and I actually thought it was pretty good looking. But then the more I made the game and the more I looked at this tree, the more I started to absolutely hate it. I hated it to the point to where I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just draw better looking trees. They're gonna be more comfy, cozy, and have a better feel when you look at them, and they're gonna be much prettier. And then I drew this. It doesn't look terrible, but it does not look very good. I think what it lacks is it lacks character, and it also lacks definition and texture up in these leaves here. And I'm really not good at doing that type of thing. And I also wanted to add different tree types for variety in Gelli World, so I drew a pine tree, and oh goodness, this does not fit the aesthetic for Gelli World at all. I don't like it. I don't know why I drew it, and I don't like it. So I go back to the drawing board. I have a pretty decent base. You know, I have like this kind of thing going on and this going on. These are decent bases for me to build upon. And then I drew these two. And I'm thinking this is better. This is getting there. If you can see this tree on the left here, the sort of like shading that I used is very similar to this tree that I had made previously. The pine tree has more like shadowing and actually looks more like an actual tree, and I decided to add some little bink bink binks, bink bink binks, and then in here like shwish shwish shwish. The little leaves on the side here are kind of just like little balls, little fluffy balls. I kind of like that. I'm editing this video after I just said what I said. Please just ignore what I just said. But I was not convinced that this was good enough. I sent this to a few people. They said it looks okay, and I didn't want to hear okay. I wanted to hear that it looks good. I wanted to hear that it looks great and it's a nice looking tree. So then I get to this point. I draw these trees, and this was a very grueling and long process. I mean, look at all the sort of, you got like the darkness stuff coming on there. You got like little bits going around, and I added some little shweens into here, and then I kept the shweens there. So I got these two trees. I think they're really good. I'm actually really, really proud of them. And here's the growth cycle for like the oak tree. So it starts off as a little sapling here, and then obviously it grows up a little bit, and then it goes up there. If you can see, when it grows up here, it's actually kind of like a nod to this version of the tree that I drew. I kind of think I should add a stage between here and here, like in the middle, to where it's like a half-grown tree, kind of like I did here. I think I should do that, and it should be like 4 stages. Here's the growth stages for the pine tree, which the pine tree actually goes through like, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think it looks really good. I'm actually quite happy with this. It was a really long journey to get to this point, but I've been trying to be more communicative with you all as my community and as my viewers about the process that I take to make the things that I make. What do you say? Comment down below. Do you like it when the arms are out to the sides like that, or do you like when the arms are going up? I don't just make everything and it's like really cool on the first try. I actually go through a very long process to get to almost everything that I do in a devlog. And then in a devlog, I only take like 10 seconds. I'm like, yeah, I drew this tree. I don't ever elaborate on anything on devlogs. That's just kind of something I'm really bad at.
Now this video was a good video. I mean, I like the editing that I did on it. I do think it's a little bit overboard, and I need my personality to be a little more in the front to make the video actually more entertaining, but I do enjoy this video. You can see that there is a really big shift in editing from the last devlog to this one, and that's because I took a lot of time to actually work on my editing style and what I thought worked well for me, and I think it paid off. This video got 137,000 views. That is absolutely insane. I don't even like thinking of that many people. It kind of scares me.
Inventories are lovely and amazing and a crucial part of many video games, but I just can't help but hate them. I made a video about my struggles with trees and you all loved it, so now it's time I make a video about my struggle with inventories. I'm curious, if you could have a real-life inventory of 5 random items that you own, what would they be? I'll go first. A cat hamburger, my new kitten Clover, Garfield but he's ballin', the entire Lego Home Alone set, and this marble in particular. If you're a new subscriber or you're just not caught up to speed, Gelli World is a slime-raising farming game set on floating islands where you can play however you want. I began work on this game over 2 years ago, but I actually restarted the progress because it was way too similar to Stardew Valley in other games, and it just wasn't unique enough. The inventory in the original version of Gelli World was this little hotbar on the bottom, and the only true way to actually access your full inventory was to go into a chest, which was really weird. When you hover over an item, it would say the name of it and the sell price. You could pick items up and swap stacks around and split them in half and put those halves in there. And it was a functioning inventory system. You only started off with 9 slots, and you had to unlock the other slots by spending your monies. The backing itself was made out of this thing that I drew. The thought process behind it was like, I'm gonna make this, I think they're called like a 9 patch. And basically, you can take this thing and you can scale it infinitely if you ever need to. You know, take this and repeat it, and it works. And I could just do that infinitely for whatever. As you probably saw in the footage that I just showed you, the scaling of it when it's in the UI compared to everything else looks really ugly. It's like terrible mixels. I don't know what I was thinking. I should have just drew the inventory and just did it like a big boy instead of being a lazy boy. Comment down below in the chat if you're a lazy boy. I'm not talking about like the chairs. But yeah, also comment down below if you're a chair. I also had the item slots themselves. An item would just go slap into the middle of that, and then when you hovered over it, it would become this lighter color to just show you like, hey, this is the one you're hovered over. And of course we have the locks. I think the locks are the best part. I think I did a pretty good job drawing these locks. It was supposed to feel awesome when you unlock this one because it's like, oh, I just got the gemstone upgrade, dude. I'm so cool. We are now in one of the earliest builds of Gelli World. I mean, look at all this stuff that's going on. There's like mountains in the background. I just added in the art of the floating islands. Originally, it wasn't even gonna be on floating islands. Got the ugly trees. So in this version, I made it so that you actually walk around and pick up items and you hold them above your head, and then when you press E, you'll slap it into your inventory. Very nice and easy process there. But I did something really weird. I had this idea that you would have to put all of your items in like different storage crates and things like that, so you only had 9 inventory slots available, and that's the maximum. So I don't even have these rows below unlocked. But at the maximum amount was going to be 9. I have no idea what I was thinking. But you can very easily take items out of the inventory, and that was it. You couldn't move them around or do anything like that. The only thing you could do was take them out and put them in. So I had crates that you could actually take your items and shove it in the crate. And then when you look in the crate, I got some items in this crate. And this crate in particular could only hold 3 items. What was I thinking? Here's actually the last version of that inventory, and you can probably see there's a bunch of different things going on here. First of all, there was a lot more items, and also I had the different upgrades. So this was upgrade 1, you had the 1 row, and then the 2 rows, and then the 3 rows. And if you're wondering what this slot right here is, this is where your hat would go. I had this thing going on where I'd have a little picture and then words, so this would be here, and then it would say inventory. But I don't know why I actually had that. I don't really think it looked that great, honestly. Here's what that newer inventory looked like actually in-game. So I had the inventory here. I could pick stuff up and put it in stacks and move it around and stuff. That was the only functionality, was like switching things around. You couldn't actually like split stacks or anything at this point. And also you could take your hat off, and now I don't have a hat on, and then I can put my hat on. Yay, hats! And if you entered a chest, you would have this sort of chest inventory, which was really annoying, and I don't know why I coded this way, because like I can't go up here, I can't go up, I can't go up. I have to go over to here, and then I can go up. It was awful. I hated it. I hate inventories, drama in the video. And that brings us to what the inventory looks like now, kind of. If you get rid of this thing. I wanted to keep this in here to show you that when I first made this inventory, I had the idea that like when you would hover over an item, it would like say all of these things, like what season you could plant it, and a description, and how much hunger it gives you, and stamina, and magic and whatnot. I don't even know what any of this stuff is. What even is that, a blueberry? And it would be gray to show you that, hey, you don't have these unlocked. And then it would be this darker color, and then a lighter color when you've hovered over it, and then the hat slot would be white. I'll explain it in a different video, but I'm getting rid of seasons and stuff like that, so I don't need any of this information here. It's irrelevant, so I can just get rid of it. No, get rid of it. Get out of here. There we go. Look, now the inventory looks good. I've changed all the menus in the game to be this more sleek and simple design. The actual slots themselves have this like 3D kind of raised button kind of look, and I think it looks really cool. And then for a little bit of extra flair and polish, I added these cute little jelly faces every once in a while, and I think they're adorable. This brings us to the current version of Gelli World right now, and this is all work in progress, so ignore some of the things you're seeing on the screen. I got this hand that points towards the item you're actually hovered over, so it's like, oh, campfire recipe, I'm gonna pick it up and I'm gonna put it over here. Or it's like, oh, I'm gonna take this leaf and I'm gonna swap it with that and then put it over there. Of course, you can also just, boom, take something out of the inventory, it works like that, and then just, boom, slap it back in the inventory, and there it goes. A cool brand new feature is you can pick up just one of an item, so if you want to grab a specific amount, you can do that quite easily. And of course, you can grab half a stack. It also works with chest inventories, and everything just works. It's good, and it works, and it's awesome, and I love it. It also works with hats, so I can like put a hat on and then go in here and just like take the hat off. And now I don't have a hat on. Dang, my farm is so overgrown. This is disgusting. I need to fix what's going on here. Here's another video that gets me very excited whenever I think about it, because I love the inventory that I came up with. And I made this inventory and I coded it and it was all working so well. And then that's pretty much right when the game was corrupt and lost forever, so that's kind of very sad. Magic in video games is awesome, so I added it into Gelli World. I've been making this game called Gelli World for a while now, and there's one thing that I've struggled with since the very beginning, figuring out what the heck the jellies actually do. Gelli World has always been my take on a farming RPG, kind of like Stardew Valley, but now it's a more sandboxy, do what you want kind of game. So obviously the jump from one genre to another means I had to redo a lot of the main mechanics. Originally, the jellies dropped this little orb that turned into money when you picked it up. And then I made it so that they made jam that you could sell at this little farmer's market. But both of those just didn't feel that great. I then got this awesome idea that some jellies would drop different items. Like the leaf lump, for example, would drop leaves. This was extremely difficult to balance though, and that's when I came up with the essence system. Essence was an idea I had that when you fed a jelly, instead of it giving you an item, it would give you this, which is the essence of that jelly. You would take the essence, give it to this thing, and when you've built up enough essence for that jelly, it would convert it into that item for you. You can also see some different ideas that I had for this thing. I don't even know what the heck it even is. Originally, it was going to be like this stone, and then you put the essence in there, and then it would and then shoot out the thingy. If you're wondering what these are, these were called essence charges. So basically you could convert essence up to 5 times in one day. And then it became this kind of thing where, you know, you have your 5 charges and when it's done, it turns red. And then it eventually became this thing. If you're really confused about what any of this means, me too, and that's why I totally scrapped this idea. I totally love the idea of essence, and also the actual lore for jellies is that they're a buildup of a certain type of magic in one area, and then when that magic builds up so much, it becomes physical and it turns into a jelly. So jellies are the embodiment of magic. And in the world I'm making, there's a ton of different types of magic. So I decided, why don't I just have the physical form of the magic as well, and that's the essence. We have curiosity essence, root essence, soil essence, stone, lunal, sonal, creation, and unknown. Essence is extremely important and it can be found everywhere throughout Gelli World. You get essence by doing different tasks. For example, if I harvest this, I just got some root essence. And the different essence types are related to the different things you do. So for example, this root essence here is mostly related to farming. This all ties into jellies because now when you feed the jellies, they actually give you essence. So I just fed that jelly and I got some curiosity essence. That jelly gave me some creation essence. The essence has a variety of different uses, but one of the coolest ones is you can use it to power up your spells and help you do your jobs a little bit better. For example, if you're playing a game and you only want to be a farmer, you would probably have no use for this pickaxe spell. But you can actually use your root essence to power up the pickaxe spell and better help you farm. So I've used my root essence on my pickaxe spell, and now it's the farmer's pickaxe, which still can mine rocks, but if you use it on crops, it harvests a bunch of them in a large AoE. I'm calling these spells crossover spells, and it's really gonna let you specialize in whatever you want to do in the game. This video's taking me forever to make because I'm having a terrible time describing all of this, but I really hope you understand. This video really was my best attempt at explaining an extremely, weird and different mechanic that I created, and I think if the mechanic actually fully played out that it would make sense and people would actually enjoy it, but it was just very difficult to explain it without really having it right in front of you and you being able to play it and mess around with it to understand what was going on. And this was also the last devlog that I ever made for Gelli World. The video did really bad too, by the way. Got 5,000 views after the previous ones got a lot more than that. And that was every single major devlog for Gelli World, all in one sitting. I don't even know how many people made it to the end. If you did make it to the end of this video, please comment down below and tell me that you made it to the end of this video. Gelli World will always hold a very important place in my heart and in my soul. I love it very much. Maybe one day it'll come back. Not sure if that day will ever come, but thank you, Gelli World, for all that you've given us.